Welcome back once again to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Happy to see you. You're damn straight. How are you, by the way? You don't write? You don't call? We took a couple of weeks off? Where the fuck you been? I am so happy with the take the couple of weeks off thing. I can't tell you how happy it makes me to miss doing the show. I know people would say you want to maintain your fan base. How about keep doing the show every week, dickhead? And I say, I don't need the pressure. But I don't, oh man. Okay. 2 weeks, what has happened? A few things. January, as a whole, go fuck yourself. Started the new year horribly. Just an awful, awful January. Health, not bad, but not good. And then everything else. Poker, in the toilet. I was on a 6-week winning streak. I did not win 1 week at my weekly game in the poker. Yeah, I'm not good. I should not lose 5 weeks in a row, is what I'm saying. I blame January. More importantly, there were a couple of high marks in the January, a couple of hot spots. One of which was a birthday party at the house with fame 80s DJ Richard Blade spinning. Dance floor lights. Happy to report. Closed down by the cops. That's right. We threw a house party. I'm in my 50s. That was shut down by the cops. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel me?
You gave him a little toot, too.
I gave him a little toot on the repeat visit. They showed up at the front door. Kevin, the cops at the door. I thought everybody was fucking with me. No, cops at the door. It's 12:15, first of all.
Yeah.
I handed out notes to the neighbors. I typed and printed out notes with my personal cell phone number. Give me a call if you have any concerns.
No.
Oh, yes. Heard from one who invited herself. I said, sure.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? That's what I meant, by the way, with the note. I meant to invite yourself.
Of course.
I meant you're welcome.
Yeah.
No?
No.
So 12:15, Kevin, the cops, all right. So I go to the door, 2 cops. You've got your...
It was total good cop, bad cop. Like, the one cop was cool and the other one was like, you know, Mr. By the book.
Right, and so by the book says, turn the music down, please. We've had complaints from 2 blocks over. I said, that's funny. But yes, of course I'll turn the music down. I'm so sorry you had to come out and waste your time. There's more important things out there. So yes, of course, we're turning the music down. Not exaggerating, 3, count them, minutes later, standing on the back porch, in converse with someone, I see one of the cops doing a little creepy walk up the side of the house. Not back at the front door again. Now they've let themselves in, they're coming up the side. Hoping to catch some younger kids doing drugs. I don't know what they're
They had probable cause, Kevin. They're just doing their jobs.
They're probable cause.
They're trying to keep people off the streets and in their own personal backyard.
Can you say, where's your warrant, when they're in your backyard? I don't think so.
I guess
they have
not.
to come into the house.
Yeah.
So, and I want to look over at Richard Blade, who's still spinning the music, and he's like, you know, he hadn't seen the
He's
cops.
on parole.
And wanted
He doesn't have his green card.
He doesn't have his green card. He's wanted in 3 states. So I come over and bad cop, again, shorter of the 2, don't you know? Napoleonic. He says, all right, he's got his
I'm sorry, just remind the audience at home, how tall of a man are you?
tiny. This is why I know what a Napoleon complex is.
Just check it.
You're looking at it. He's got his ticket book out.
Oh.
Now he's going to write me up.
Yeah.
He says, all right, here's the thing. We've just been called over by the fire department, so I can't waste any more time here. If I have to come back, I'm going to write you up. Holds up his book to remind me what write you up means. And it's going to be a $900 fine. I said, what's the problem? Seriously. We turn the music down. He said, no, I told you to turn the music off. I said, all due respect, sir. Had you, at that point, I give that to Richard Blade, and the music's off. Had you said turn the music off, that's what would have happened. The music will not come back on. I absolutely do not want to waste any more of your time, but you did say turn it down, sir. All right, I don't want to waste any more time either, so the music stays off, and if you wouldn't mind telling your guests to go inside, that'd be great. And off they go. Tell my guests to go inside. It's 12:20.
Seriously.
I get everybody inside.
Honestly.
I got 5 heaters outside that I paid too much money for. I got everybody inside now?
Yeah, they're not even you.
Son of a bitch. I got a dance floor out here. Rented. So, there you go. The rest of the night, 2-ish, I want to say. Wasn't too crazy. I'm walking around, puffed out chest. I don't know if you heard. We got shut down by the cops. It was awesome. It was truly awesome in a heartbeat. Street cred for 12 hours. Jamie, any more comments on the birthday? Went all right?
The party went very well, yes. But we were talking about how like January in itself was shitty.
Oh my God.
On my actual birthday, I got food poisoning.
Oh. The night before we're going to the Disneyland.
Yes, I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and I had like a mild case of food poisoning, and I still tried to go to Disneyland, and I lasted about 4 hours, and then I had to go. I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I had to go home. And it's bad whenever I have to go home from Disneyland.
Well, I think the regular viewers, listeners know that you're not just the happiest place on earth, but yours. We'll be there Valentine's.
We will.
Fuck
We'll,
yes.
we'll make up for it.
Little Club 33 supper. Private club.
Yes, I'm familiar. You've mentioned it once or twice before.
You think?
The exclusivity of this Club
Yeah, but
33.
we've never had dinner.
That's true.
Only
Never.
lunch.
Whoa!
Wow!
Whoa!
Turn down the
Is that-
sound
is that what I
outside
sound
the
like?
studio. But good that Jamie did get to hear her harp. Turn down the speakers on the outside of the studio. Also, in the 2 weeks gone, I enjoyed myself with the Wise Guys in the Salt Lake City. A fantastic club. Had a great time. Great shows. I want to thank Keith Stubbs and the staff at the Wise Guys. Fantastic. Audiences didn't know how to gauge it. Mormon, Romney. Do I talk religion and politics?
Is
Mormon?
that a dry club?
It is not.
Okay.
So you would think
I would think
they're not selling a lot.
they're going to be rolling. They're going to be falling from the ceiling.
1 drink minimum, which is weird. What I didn't know is because they can't have caffeine or booze, they lead the nation in prescription drug abuse.
Oh yeah.
Lead the nation.
Did you learn that from Drugs Inc.?
I wish. We're hooked now on this new show, Drugs Inc. Not to mention Dun Abby. But I realized while on stage at Wise Guys, I want to be Lady Gaga's arch nemesis, her arch enemy. I decided I want to be a superhero. As a Jew, I'll of course be Superman. Able to lease a tall building in a single call. Do you see what I've done? I want to be Lady Gaga's arch nemesis. While I was there, I decided that. Also, took a bunch of photos with the fans after the shows, which is a tradition long-standing, forever. But now, we're going to put up a little photo fan page on the Kevin Pollak Chat Show website from all these various appearances, because I don't do the Facebook. So we're going to put the photos up on the fan page, which should be done by midweek, and fans can go there and grab and put on your walls, tag, all those things that make you happy. So look forward to that. Condolences, of course, to the family of Whitney Houston. One of our staff may or may not have killed her. I'm not going to get into it now. We'll talk about it in weeks to come after he's been subpoenaed.
I told him not to leave town.
The
cops-
I am eliminated. It's a he.
The cops will
Yes.
want to speak to him, I'm certain.
Sammy,
Yeah, buddy.
we went and saw your pal interview Jerry Lewis at the Paley
Did you now?
Museum.
Which pal?
Leonard Maltin.
Oh,
The
yeah.
former guest, Leonard Maltin.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Favorite part is when halfway during the show, Jerry Lewis, 86 years old, sitting on the stage, telling stories, talking about stuff about him and Dean that you couldn't possibly know. Middle of it, it's only 90 minutes, middle of it, down the opposite aisle is Richard Kind, looking, is that my seat? Hello, where do I? To the point where Jeff Garland stands up and says, ladies and gentlemen, please, Richard Kind. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Like, seriously?
Well, he doesn't have
He's
that
got to
wall.
maintain.
He doesn't have that barrier that normal, healthy people have.
Yes, it's so true. But loving him on the luck. He's really doing a great job.
He's doing great.
Yeah, the stuttering agent on
Yeah.
the HBO series.
And
Luck.
because of that, he's going to move back out here to the West Coast, so we'll get a lot more Richard Kind.
We will
on
get
our
Richard
walls.
Kind on this
Fantastic.
very
Yes.
show, and then that is the last we'll speak of Richard Kind for today's show.
I doubt it.
Okay, good.
He always worms his way back into the conversation somehow.
Sammy, anything else you want to add?
I'd like to congratulate the New York Giants
Why?
on their Super Bowl victory.
Why would you do that?
I'm not a big Pats fan.
Okay.
And
Will they go down in Super Bowl history as one of the luckiest teams, though, proving the point it's better to be lucky than good?
No.
Welker catches that ball, they don't
I
win.
think the New England Patriots will go down as one of the chokiest teams.
Chokiest.
Yeah.
Okay. I will accept chokiest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go.
I don't know. I think they had
We are
complete...
so close. Look, don't let your emotions get into it. See,
I won't.
I don't have any emotions
If I
because
got-
I don't follow football.
If I let my emotions get into it, Sammy, I would say that my San Francisco 49ers embarrassed the Giants beyond belief and then gave them the game. I won't get into it, though. The show is officially now on Hulu.com. We're so fucking excited about that. Please tune in if you've got the desire and the will. The Hulu.com, very exciting for all of us here doing this show to have that sort of support of a show that gets 20 million hits a day. Please write to us at contact@kevinpollixchatshow.com and tell us about your experience watching the show on the Hulu. As you know, we love to hear from you. And in fact, I'd like to share some of that now. The first opportunity we have to hear from you is a little segment we like to call Ask Kevin. Only if there was a graphic.
Nope, apparently there isn't. Oh, there it is.
Ask Kevin.
Yeah, look at that fucking thing. That is so cute. Those of you listening to the show, sorry. This one is from Joseph Calhoun. Again, if you want to ask myself,
Like a couple of little Rory Calhouns.
if you want to ask myself or the two Simpson knuckleheads,
Who's that
or,
actor that stands up all the
Dr.
time?
Chan or anyone here, a question, please write to contact@kevinpollixchatshow.com. And the JMac will forward these. Hey, Chat Show, Sam, Jamie, spelled incorrectly, and crew. Hope you're all well. My Ask Kevin is this. Would you work with Bryan Singer again on another film, given the success of Usual Suspects? And are there any quick, what's he saying? Funny stories that you have of Bryan? Even our guests.
How
laughed
is
at
that
one.
question addressed to all three of us?
Scroll back. Also, J-Mac, if you could make sure out there that the AC is on, these lights are already starting to make this Jew fry.
Great. Meanwhile,
Hey, Chat Show, Sam, Jamie, and crew. Hope you're all well.
Meh.
Oh, no. No, meh. That was, okay.
It was you then. It was you who misled me.
Hey, Chat Show. Okay, so he wants to know if I'll work with Bryan again. Let's roll forward. Given the success of Usual Suspects, do you have a quick, funny story about Bryan? Yes, the scene of the police lineup that ended up being the poster, one sheet, if you will, is a series of outtakes. I don't know if I've told this story on the show. Perhaps when Chris McCrory was here, we got into it a little bit. The Academy Award-winning putz with the who wrote the script. It's a series of outtakes. It was the only day that we could not get through it without laughing. The scene was written the way that I performed it because I was the first, or littlest, to read off the card, "Give me the keys, you fucking cocksucker." We were all supposed to read it straight, not impressed, fuck you to the police. That was the emotion requested from the director. And then Baldwin goes next. He flips out, give me the fucking keys, he does something weird. And then Benicio farted 8 takes in a row, which is a talent. You gotta pace yourself. You can't just. And then, so we couldn't get through one take without laughing. We shot the movie in 5.5 weeks. It was the only day out of the entire shoot that the director, Bryan Singer, who you've asked about, came to us, we the suspects, at lunch and said, "You guys have fucked me. I have nothing. I can't use a single frame. You can't fuck me like this. We don't have time." "Bryan, we're so sorry. We didn't mean it, you know." Yeah. We were all supposed to be pissed off or not impressed or nonplussed. Not fucking around. Please, you can't. Well, that was like telling the 9-year-olds not to laugh at the funeral. And we fucked the rest of the day, not on purpose. To his credit, he went back to editing. At the end of the day, he just threw up his hands and said, "I'll figure it out." He went back to editing and crafted maybe one of the most memorable scenes, as it then became the poster. Same emotion that he wanted to get across was delivered in the editing by showing us fucking around, making each other laugh, what actually was happening on the set. These series of outtakes that he edited together to make an actual scene is the same fuck you to the police. We're not impressed. Yes, Sammy.
So your answer to Rory Calhoun's question is no.
I don't have a quick story. Or funny. He asked for a quick funny story. I don't have either. That's all I got.
0 for 2.
Thanks, Sammy. Follow-up or is this a new one? How I KPCS? Same guy? Different guy? Different guy. This is from Seamus. From Seamus Handley. From Ireland.
Get out.
Yep. In
That's
fact,
because that's where my fans are.
that's where all of Jamie's fans are. And by all, I mean 2.
Now 3, maybe.
Kuna Satatu. Kuna Satatu. It's Ireland. Greetings from Ireland. All right. Don't know much. I won't be obnoxious.
Thank you.
The bad, awful fucking accent. I don't know how much feedback you get from my part of the world, but let me say I've been watching your show on the Kevin Pollak's Chat Show YouTube channel, and I have in a short amount of time become a fan. I first discovered your wonderful show due to an unhealthy interest in Nathan Fillion, as I am a browncoat. And was delighted when I found a 2-hour interview with the man himself, hosted by that guy from the Freddie Wong video where the other guy gets hypnotized. I kid, I've been a fan of your work for a long time. As an avid film fan, can you escape? What? Wait a second. As an avid film fan, who can escape your career? Sorry. And I loved Red State. Thank you, sir. In a film school, I'm a film school graduate, madly in love with what I do, but desperate to get any kind of career going, living at home with my parents and working in a video rental shop around the corner from my house. I have loved making films my entire life, but it's only the past 5 or 6 years that I've considered it a serious pursuit. And in that time, I've met too many people who seemed to want to scare or discourage such a pursuit, oddly enough, many of them being people involved in the same line of work. At the moment, I'm juggling my video rental job while producing a couple of independent projects, writing, directing, editing, acting, and in that time in between, of which there is perhaps too much, I'm catching up on your show and watching the new 2012 episodes, relieved every time to find so many people in that part of the world over there where all the stuff... Is it the same day? Is this still the same day?
Oh my God.
Stuff I watch is made of normal people with jobs who love what they do, just like I hope to be. I love it. I'm telling all my friends about it. I'm going to keep watching it, and as soon as I figure out the stipulations concerning the time difference, I'm going to do my best to watch it live, even if it requires no sleeping. Thank you for giving me a bit of hope and in general being simply entertaining, and since I have not...
Oh my God. Just stop.
This is why I chose this one, to kill Sam. And since I've not asked a question, I would like to ask if you have ever performed in Dublin or if ever plan on it in the not-too-distant future. I will now gladly go fuck myself. Too late! Too late
He's
to go
finished
fuck
fucking
yourself,
himself. He's
Seamus.
on to fucking his whole family.
Seamus Hanley, Dublin, Ireland. No plans. How about that?
Wow.
47-minute question. Answer,
That's-
no plans.
That's great.
Okay. Larry King game. I slightly instructed my guests. Again, if you have... did we make a Larry King game graphic? It was for the guests at the end of the show. I think we did, but we'll hold it. This one from Mike Coughlin.
I hope so.
You look at us like we can read what you're reading.
All right. It's Cough, L-A-N, but I think it's pronounced Coughlin.
Coughlin, one of those.
Could be Coughlin?
Cooglin.
Sure.
Coogan.
Mike Smith.
Kooflian.
Okay, here's his Larry King game. Mike, write us again and tell us your shirt size and shipping address so we can send you off your Kevin Pollak's Chat Show t-shirt immediately. Back in 1974, I played a game of Hide the Dreidel with Tom Snyder, Bridget Bardot, and a very excited Rip Taylor. Schenectady, New York, what's on your mind? P.S. I will now get out of your collective faces and go fuck myself, Mike Coughlin, St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. He's got a pronunciation for us. Cooglin. BPS. I'm lucky enough to win this week. My last name is pronounced Cooglin.
Maybe put that at the beginning.
Yep. Not trying to be an ass. Just I have a weirdly spelled last name that's fucking impossible to pronounce. A little verification and validation, rather, on my inability.
He buried the lead.
That's all the time we have. I want
Are
to
you
thank
sure?
my guest. I want to thank my guest.
Oh, wait, you mean that's all the time we have for today's episode?
Yes.
Sorry to our guest.
Yes. Man. Okay, so thank you all very much. Check out the site, write to us. Don't forget there's a page to go shopping. And happy Valentine's, since it'll be Valentine's before I see you next. Part of the reason I mentioned the shitty January that this has been is that it started New Year's Day with my finger this close to my face. No, something in my eye that ended up being a virus where I had to take drops. Then I had a little something in the digestive tract, in the GI, if you will, that laid me up as well. Then, all in the same month, bronchial with a fever. Bronchial with a fever put me on my ass for 4 days straight, during which time I literally watched, thanks to Fios On Demand from the HBO, and then I had to pick up after about 17 episodes on the computer, where you got the HBO Go, and I ended up watching all 3 seasons. I know I'm the last to visit this particular show. All 3 seasons literally in 3 days. I'll ask the guest if he knows the exact number, but it's something like 38 episodes, I think.
Sure. You want
Deadwood.
to talk about? Oh, there it is. I was going to ask if you wanted to say the name of the show.
Nope.
Okay. Enough for keeping it a
Now,
secret.
when you watch something 38 episodes basically in a row,
Yeah.
over 3 days, you get a little obsessive.
Sure.
Yeah. And not too shortly thereafter, went up to San Francisco to do the Sketch Fest. I hope you enjoyed the show from up there with the wonderful Rachel Lee Harris. But I saw our guest today walking through, and it was one of those weird things where, wait a minute, I was just immersed in this world for 4 days with a fever, and now he's stepped out of my window and into the real world, and I can't compute. I can't actually process this information. Turns out, by putting together the dossier, quite the body of work. We chatted slightly that night, in which I asked him to do the show. Sammy, I think, had already reached out to him. But he mentioned every time we got into a good part of a conversation, he said, maybe we should save this for your show, which I thought was hilarious, all 6 times he said it. And we were born, as it turns out, about 30 minutes apart, different decades. Castro Valley, California. Raised in the Yakima?
Yakima.
Yakima.
Yeah, Yakima, Washington.
Please welcome the incredibly diverse, as we're also going to discuss, and annoyingly handsome Garret
Oh,
Dillahunt.
man.
Hey,
Up with a bang.
thanks for hanging out for 28 minutes.
That's great.
Welcome. Welcome, first of all. And do you have to pee again? Welcome. And are we okay on sound, by the way? I want to make sure everything's good before we get any further. All right. So we talked a little bit about Castro Valley, and then about 10 minutes later, I think I asked you again where you were from.
You were drunk.
Yeah,
So.
because
You weren't drunk.
I was probably drunk off of 1 beer, because I was still kind of sick. But turns out I knew so very little about Castro Valley, because it's right above Hayward, right?
I don't know a ton about it either.
Right, 'cause you guys
left
moved
when
here.
I was like 1.
Right.
Yeah, but
And
yeah,
you
it's
haven't
right
been
around
back
there,
since.
near Livermore and Oakland and all that.
Right. It's the East Bay, they call it.
Yeah.
Have you not been back since, literally?
You know, I've driven through,
And you thought,
and I thought there's a lot of houses here. There's a lot of houses. Just roofs.
Yeah.
And the freeway goes right over them, but
right.
that's where I'm from.
And did you stop by the house, the old digs?
No, I wouldn't know where it was.
Right.
I did happen to be doing a play in San Francisco at the Millennium, you know, like when it was New Year's Day, 1999, or New Year's Eve, 1999, you know what I mean?
Crazy.
And my parents lived down near Golden Gate Park, where I was conceived, and I did walk by that house then, like at midnight.
That's pretty
with some
cool.
friends. Yeah, it was kind of fun.
That was why you were doing Angels in America.
Yes.
You were back when
Yes,
you
it
were doing
was.
the play.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve, 1999.
No, this was Invention of Love, this Tom Stoppard play.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
different one.
So that was going to be the turn of the Y2K. Did you have any concerns at all?
There was a lot of fear. I remember there was some windows boarded up in San Francisco, right? I was like, shit, this is going to be bad. But it was nothing, of course.
That's a big disappointment, actually.
Kind
I was
of.
kind of hoping the computers would take over for a couple
I
of
thought my
minutes.
bank account might just explode with money.
Yeah. Right. We had all kinds of hopes for Y2K.
Through a computer glitch, I meant.
Sure.
Yeah, not
Not from doing a play?
not from doing a play.
But you got to go buy the house you were conceived in. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, weird, huh? That's kind of, is that creepy?
No.
At midnight?
I think
you
most
know, in this
people-
neighborhood.
I would guess most people don't even know where that house is that they were conceived in.
Yeah, I called my folks and I was like, where was it?
Yeah, where the hell did this happen? You asked? And they said,
Yeah. Second story of this crappy
Second story.
apartment on 26th Street or something like that, yeah.
those are cool parents.
Yeah.
Growing up, was there an early idea to stand in front of people and
No,
wait for their
God,
appreciation?
no. I don't know how.
None whatsoever.
Well, you did stand-up, so you might not have had the shy gene or whatever.
I
but-
suffer from "Hey, look at me" immediately.
Well, that's not a bad thing. It's
Yeah.
done well by you. But no, I never crossed my mind. The small school I went to, I actually went to school in a town called Sela, which is sort of a suburb of Yakima.
Oh my God!
Population 5 grand, about.
A lot of farms.
A lot of farms.
Right.
That's where I worked. I worked on apple farms my whole life. My dad was in the trucking business. He hauled fruit, and there was like a drama club at school, but it was it was a hobby. It was for other people. I couldn't imagine.
Never crossed your mind.
No. The speech portion of English class. I don't know if you had to do that, but you had to get up and just talk to us about anything for 2 minutes. And it was
Horrifying.
Just horrifying. I never could do it. I ended
got
up just
7
being
applause
silent and
Yeah.
blushing just for like the last 45 seconds of my time, and I couldn't. I never would have thought. No, never. Not in a million years. This is what I'd be doing.
And those early memories, you're like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, kind of thing.
No, that was
high
high
school.
school.
That was
Yeah. Sadly.
Well, but I mean,
I was about 9-year-old size, but that was
but-
high school.
according to the dossier, you kind of found the drama while you were pursuing a journalism degree.
Yes,
At
your
university.
lengthy dossier. Yes, I was a kind of a big shot on the high school newspaper. I really dug that kind of, talking to other people and taking pictures and being behind the scenes. You know what I mean? But it was still when you'd type the story, you'd have to justify it so the column came out even.
Yeah.
Take pictures of the page to print it. I mean, it was crazy. But that's what I
Break any big stories?
Yeah, huge ones.
Can you
About the
remember any?
cross-country team and.
Uh-huh.
These freshmen this year are a force to be reckoned with, stuff like that. And I don't know. I got pantsed a lot when I was a freshman.
Well, not too far from there is where Pre came from, right? Oregon?
Yeah,
Right.
Oregon,
Not
yeah.
too far.
Not too far.
So at that point, you're catching a little bit of the juice and excitement of the story.
Yeah, I always was a bookworm.
Right.
I read all the time. My dad would come in summer and be like, get outside and do something. Stop laying there reading these books. Run around. So I do and always have loved stories and being told stories and listening to stories and watching stories.
What are some of the early authors that caught you as a kid?
Well, I remember Edgar Rice Burroughs a lot because I found a box of books in my grandpa's garage in New Mexico.
Holy shit.
Just piles of these original Edgar Rice Burroughs books. And I was like, Tarzan, John Carter of Mars, just these great books. And he started sending them to me in groups of about 5 or 6. The UPS truck would pull up in my hometown and drop off
Christmas.
this box of wonder. They're incredibly racist books now. I didn't realize at the time he did
Right.
horrible things to black people. It's like, holy shit, Tarzan, my hero. But at the time, it was going right over my head.
Sure, as it
I
should.
hope, yeah. And I loved those books. I would read them nonstop and again, and kept a very neat file of which ones I had and the years they were published and which ones we needed. And
Right.
I'd haunt pawn shops all across the country, looking for more. But this is boring.
No, no.
Is it? No?
This is exactly. I hate to break it to you. This is exactly what the show is.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you just stepped in the middle of it. So, University of Washington, degree in journalism,
Yeah.
but so what is it that's catching your interest a little bit in the theater department? Is it just chicks?
Well, I guess eventually there would be that. That's a common
Yeah.
cause for dudes, isn't it? Sadly, but no. Even greener, even more naive than thinking I would have a shot with any of those girls was that my sole thought process was it's hard to make a living as a journalist. I better write plays as well. Like that's lucrative, or easy, And so I double majored. Sort of my last year, I sort of minored in drama, and part of that writing requirement was an acting class. So you'd know what the
Forced.
actor's going through. Yeah, which was, harrowing and a nightmare. The day before we started, I was just like, I have to do this. I have to get up in front of people.
Harrowing.
Harrowing. Is that the right? Did I say it
No,
wrong?
I'm saying that's a key word.
Yeah, it was harrowing, and I didn't sleep much. The night before, I just was mortified that I would have to do that. And I had horrible, fashion sense, and I was not a cool person, and this was just going to be a nightmare. I knew it, but I actually found it to be incredible and therapeutic probably, and everything I needed, and a lot of fun. And
Had you read any playwrights at that point? Sam Shepard or anybody?
I was into Arthur Miller.
Mhm.
I remember at the time, like weird Arthur Miller plays, and Shepard was cool. He was very much like, he seemed like he could be from Yakima.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Motel Chronicles I was crazy about in college, I remember. And Savage/Love, these, you know, those poetic Sam Shepard-y things. I worked with him on Jesse James years later, and I was a little tongue-tied around him. So
Yeah.
I never told him I was.
But there's another author whose book you carried around, no? Because I read there were several, like in the case of when you got to do No Country for Old Men and The Road,
Cormac, yeah.
right? You'd been carrying around some of these books for a while.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of. This happens to me a lot. I think I discover these books. You know, no one else has heard of this River Runs Through It thing. You know,
Right.
someday I'm going to make a movie out of this. You
Right.
know, that was one. I really love Norman MacLean, and Cormac McCarthy's books are also I thought were pretty great.
Yeah.
And I vowed I'd be in every movie ever
Right.
ever made of his books, which has already not happened. But
No. But a couple.
But a couple. Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Yeah, I think he's beautiful. I just think the way he writes is just. I could never write like that, you know. But like All the Pretty Horses is probably one of his most accessible books. But even that, you know, the way he describes, you know, those China coffee cups in a diner are just like, oh, I know that cup.
Yeah.
I know what's in it. You know, I know what this place looks like,
I
and
know
this
what it smells
waitress,
like.
and yeah, he's really gifted, really brilliant fellow.
Did you ever force yourself beyond the journalism to write? Either start to write a play or start to write a...
I've tried to write a few plays. I was mainly into short fiction.
Mhm.
Short fiction was what I wanted to do, short stories.
Stephen King? Comes to
Well,
mind.
Raymond Carver actually
Maybe.
writes a lot about Yakima. You know, a lot of his stories are, because he lived there for quite a while.
Holy shit.
Eastern Washington, yeah.
So you're reading him.
I loved Raymond Carver, yeah, I was all about it. So I was determined to be the short story writer. And of course, thought I'd be as good as he was, but
Well, you have to.
yeah.
You want to be your heroes.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes
but,
sense. So you started to write plays, and then did you ever finish one?
I took a playwriting class, you know, like I was supposed to, and I don't know. I don't know if it was just the acting thing feels like a similar itch being scratched. I don't know if you write. You probably
Mhm.
do. And it feels like a similar itch to me. You know, it feels kind of like I'm writing live or something when I'm performing. So I never got back to it. But I also didn't think I was that good. You know, I'd find myself writing like like a bastardized version of whoever I'd been reading
Right.
most recently, you know,
Too
and I was like,
inspired.
well, why not just read that guy, you know?
Yeah. Why do I have to copy him?
Yeah.
So the first time you are forced to do the acting class, does it happen that quickly, the first?
No, I mean, I think that the fact that it went well, you know, we had to do some scenes. I was literally drama 101.
Right.
You know, and then we had to do these scenes. And the fact that it went kind of well, and that there seemed to be pleasure from the audience at what I was
Encouragement.
doing, yeah, it made me feel good, you
Right.
know. And
It's a weird moment, isn't it? When you get acknowledgement and affirmation from total strangers
yeah,
in a
just-
setting that's kind of up to you.
right, like you've put yourself there,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. But I think that's the frighteningly obvious, but would be the biggest difference between writing
Right,
and acting is that
of course.
you're in your own world while creating one as a writer, and then you're not vulnerable until you
Right.
let someone read it.
Right, right.
But while you're creating,
It's lonely.
you're not vulnerable at all.
Yeah.
So that sense of being vulnerable for you in the acting class initially didn't work out at all, I think, on paper as a theory, until you got
Right.
feedback.
I think so, but it was. But I think it was also, you know, I mean, your reasons change for doing things,
Sure.
you know. And I had, I was hesitant to talk about this stuff, but I had recently lost a brother.
Ugh.
My brother had died when I was a senior in high school. My older brother. So I was pretty adrift all through college.
Right,
Do you know what I
sure,
mean? It's
sure.
like I chose journalism just because that's what I'd said I was going to do. But
Right.
but honestly, I didn't know what I was
Right.
doing. You know, I was just pissed off and drifting and
In a
you know
fog.
and yeah and so I'm sure it was therapeutic for me in its way. You know,
Escape.
Yeah, to be someone completely different. And I threw myself into that. I remember doing so many plays at once and doing scenes for the directing students as well as my own scenes. I remember running across campus from one rehearsal to another, and I miss that energy, first of all, but loving it.
Yeah.
Loving it. I probably stunk, but it was just
Well, I don't know that it
making up
matters.
for lost time.
I don't know that it matters.
Yeah.
And
You know?
anything, to be anyone but yourself right then, it
Yeah.
seems like what you were.
This is exactly is what I needed and wanted, and I'm probably still doing to some extent. That's
Well-
why I work so much, and so say yes to things I maybe shouldn't. Because I have this habit now. I've just got to keep moving.
Right.
Keep moving.
Well, it was ingrained, it sounds like. It
Yeah.
was pretty.
My intro to what we do was that, escape, run,
Not severe at all.
hide in other people. Yeah, it's interesting.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that's.
At what point does the
Getting
idea
things
of
down.
At what point does the idea of taking all of this energy and passion to New York start to make sense?
Well, this was all my last year of college.
Right.
I was on the 5-year plan.
Sure. I was on the 9-month plan, so be
Well
proud
done.
of the 5
Well
months.
done.
Yeah. They call it dropping out, but fuck 'em.
And then I acted around Seattle for a year, doing whatever I could get. At the time there was just an explosion of fringe theater companies, and
Sure.
there was like 89
Jesus.
different companies. It was insane and beautiful. And
You could have stayed there forever, quite frankly.
maybe so, but and I worked at the Underground Tour. There's an Underground Tour in Seattle. I was like the bartender there, and you get these big chunks of people come in and get the intro for the tour, then they'd leave, and then you'd serve stuff, and then another chunk would come in because all these different.
Right.
And you find yourself so content because it's so beautiful there. Like, oh, there's Mount Rainier, and I could just do this play up here because the plays don't pay. There's a lot of them, they don't pay very well. But I also just thought, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I did this musical, that was fun, and I just thought I need some more training. So I auditioned for graduate schools, and that's what took me to New York. I got into NYU's graduate program there, and I went to New York.
Not just any graduate program, if I may. The Tisch School of the Arts,
Graduate program, yeah.
but it's slightly prestigious. Did you realize it at the time, or is it just?
I don't think so, because this naivete thing, which I still kind of
It
have,
serves you well. It's an act. You
Sadly.
can't fool me.
virtually 50, and still sort of amazed by simple things. But yeah, I just thought, I've never been east of Montana. I'll try this school. I drove down to San Francisco and did these auditions. They used to hold them in very few places at the time, and that was the closest one to me. Was at ACT in
Right.
San Francisco. And a whole bunch of schools come and they hold auditions. I had no money, so I couldn't afford the fees for the applications.
Jesus.
Sometimes they were like as much as $75 just to apply.
Right.
So a bunch of us drove down in this like Datsun B210 or something, just crammed into it, drove all night, and I just crashed auditions if whoever would let me in. Whoever had an empty slot, would you be willing? I was working as a security guard, I think, at the time at this bank overnight. So I'd practice monologues and stuff in the empty conference rooms in my little powder blue outfit with my badge. Yeah.
Give me a moment with that visual, if you will. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I got fired for falling asleep. I think like 3 times in a month I fell asleep because I would go out during the day and audition.
Sure.
But but anyway,
You got fired from falling asleep at the graveyard shift at the bank.
yes. But I went down there and I auditioned for whoever would let me in, and I got into a few schools, some West Coast schools, and then NYU was the only one on the East Coast. And that's why I chose it, was because I'd never been east of Montana,
Well, yeah, I mean,
Thank God I did
It
choose
isn't
it.
just going east of Montana, though.
Yes,
It's
far east.
well, no, I just mean in terms of life's challenges.
Yeah.
You went to the apex of competition, the apex of opportunity, perhaps, for theater, but
I guess
also
you're right.
Maybe the photo opposite of the sort of upbringing and bucolic
Yeah.
life that you had, into the cement jungle, as it were.
I guess it was running still, wasn't it? I was still something completely different, and
But that's wild ambition somewhere of,
yeah,
of adventure.
I've always been
If
sort
nothing-
of closet competitive, and I used to get in lots of fights. I was little, but mad about something. I'd get in fights all the time, and but like, like I'm the kind of guy that shouldn't get in a fight because you get sort of feral, you know, and you're ripping and biting
might take
things, and
someone's eye out.
you're just like the amount of mad you get is so out of proportion to what this poor normal person did. You know what I mean?
I'm starting to get a flavor of what you mean.
As I come over the table.
But
I didn't see the dossier that you did time. How did I miss that you did time? J-Mac, you really got to let me know when the guest's the next con.
And I don't mean that as a braggy thing. It's embarrassing. You know, it was embarrassing.
You embarrassed by it.
Yeah. It was just, you know, it was stupid, and obviously other things happening. But yeah, and my parents, God bless them, you know, a trucker and you know, my mom worked in a ceramics store and was a receptionist for a chiropractor, and they must have been scratching their heads about this.
Trip to New York?
Yeah, or just this career choice, you know, just what?
Maybe they're just happy you were no longer fighting.
Maybe. But they never said, you know, don't. They never said shut up or that's stupid or, you know, and I don't think I realized what a wonderful thing that was at the time, but it just never occurred to me, I think, that this was a horribly low success rate kind of thing to do. I just, you know, life seemed short to me at this time. You know, I thought I can go any minute. You know, my brother did, so.
You're 20-ish?
Yeah, well, what? I would have been 20, I guess 23 when I landed in New York, 22. And I just wanted to do something I enjoyed.
And as much as one could never prepare for that transition.
It was crazy coming up out of that subway
How
from the airport.
How do you
So
take
busy.
that in, the kid from the Apple Ranch?
It was tough at first, but it was a wonderful thing. I had this school to go to, you know, and here's a group of people that are here just waiting for you and to support you, and you know, maybe be your friends if you're
Students
lucky.
from all over the country.
Yeah, students from all over the country. And there was 13 of us, I think, in my class, or 15, something like that. Small groups, but there's 3 groups, and then the staff. And I didn't have the money to go to NYU, which I told them, you know, out of the gate. That's flattering, but I cannot afford your school. It was expensive then. It's astronomical now. But they found an assistantship for me. I was like the janitor. GA, I'd show up early in the morning and mop the floors and set up chairs.
This is perfect.
So I could go to school.
This is perfect.
It was great.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yeah, it sounds much more romantic in the retelling.
Always is.
But I had like a master key, you know, because and so I would go in all the rooms, and I'd go in the shop all the time, and I lived in so many different apartments because I would often just crash in people's places, whatever. And when it was really far, and if I'd be rehearsing late, I couldn't get home, I would just sleep in the shop. You know, I would hide in there and just sleep in the shop all night, and then sort of bathe in one of those big sinks with the hose on the faucet, you know. And then go set up. And a couple times I surprised someone. Someone had been stealing tools, and someone came in one night, like while I was in there with like their flashlight, and I was like on this couch, like took off out of there. That was terrible. I never told anyone that.
Master fucking key.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's pretty trip.
And I'd seen the access code for long distance calls.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It sounds like you said I'd seen.
When someone else was authorized to use it was dialing it. This is terrible. It's a statute. I've been out of school a while. So this is
The
probably
statute of limitations is certainly
gotta be
expired.
out.
You're good.
But at night I would call my family and stuff, or my girlfriend back home, and just I must have racked up so much phone bill.
It is kind of weird that nothing was traced back to
The office, the workshop phone
Between
at
the
2
hours,
a.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold it.
Wait a second, Mrs. Colombo. What? So you, according to the dossier, you find yourself in the notorious world of live theater in New York,
Yeah.
which I think only James Urbaniak was the only guest here that talked about those days, because it's quite a bit different than, say, your experience with Frank Langella on Broadway. The live theater.
Garret.
Yeah, please, give me anything. Give me anything, Langella. I worked with him, and he was just utterly fascinating. I don't think most people know about this.
Yes. He can control it with his will.
Do you know what that is called?
I don't remember what the name is. Yeah, it's a genetic thing.
There was an actor actually on Deadwood that had it. The heavyset guy that looked after.
Oh yeah, Mose.
Mose.
Yeah.
Pruitt.
You prefer Taylor Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. Oh gosh, yeah, where the eye shakes,
It goes back and forth.
goes back and forth. Yes.
Like constant, doesn't stop.
Yeah, like really fast.
Yeah.
And your first thought, of course, seeing it is this person is functioning. They made it this far. They're clearly fine. I, on the other hand, am going to pass out. I don't know what's happening. And because you just try to get inside the vision of that.
Right,
when I
right.
worked with Sir Langella, which he should be.
Yeah, he was.
Brilliant, beyond belief.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's a sexual being, isn't he?
Did he craft you a bit?
No, not. I think he got a straight vibe early on, but you know, he's a very open-minded fellow.
Yeah.
But he's very interested in what yours particular habits are. You know? One time he said to me,
This is
I
your
can't believe I'm
Broadway
saying
debut?
this. I don't remember if it was there or we also did this other thing called Booth that Austin Pendleton wrote, where I played Edwin Booth and he played Junius,
Jesus.
his father. Yeah, right. And he'd smack me all over that stage. I didn't know that was weird. But he was like, I'm sorry, Frank. I hope you won't see this. But he said one time, he's like, Garret. He'd call you and just be like, Garret, who you fucking, or just strange things. But this particular day, he said, Garret, what do you like to masturbate with? And I was like, oh, Frank, you know, my hand, I don't know. What's
What are
coming?
you looking for?
What's coming? When I was your age, it was a fur-lined glove or a jar of peanut butter.
Oh my God.
And I just was like, holy,
Does anyone know out there this is happening?
chunky or creamy?
Yeah.
How do you get in? Oh, I'll get in.
That's fantastic.
And those are great things, probably.
Yeah.
Fur-lined glove.
Well,
You could
listen,
you could go through the fur-lined gloves, though.
I've heard tell of many choices. I've not heard the peanut butter or fur lining glove, and I tip my hat. Jade no longer watches the show, right?
Jane?
Okay. We have a.
She's smarter. She's smarter than
She's
you.
heard all this and worse. I know.
She was funny. She was this is my niece who's almost 14 years old. She was texting me earlier and she was complaining about, she was at the mall and she was looking for a specific style of jean and she's like, yeah, I went into American Eagle and they clearly don't know what they're doing in there. She's like, I was asking for help and you know, it's a bunch of, she's like, bunch of idiots.
14.
14.
Fantastic.
Clearly.
That's fantastic.
She's like, they clearly don't know what their inventory is.
Oh,
I
well,
was like, all right, Jaden.
yeah, nice going.
She's funny.
So now the live theater. Can you give us just a little bit of the? Because I think most people don't know much about this world, and it is its own world. No?
Yeah, I mean, did you do a lot? You must have.
Zero.
Zero. Oh.
Because I started in stand-up.
None in San Francisco even.
No, because I started in stand-up, I had the platform,
Oh, okay.
and it was all I knew from 10 to 20. So that by the time acting became a possible thing, I was a 10-year veteran of being on stage
Right.
and learning that one-on-one relationship. So the idea of sharing the stage with anyone was a horrible idea. It never made sense
What
to
fool would do that?
me. Yeah, we went to see Gaffigan in that championship season recently on Broadway. Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
It was a great cast. Kiefer and a bunch of great people. And I spoke to him afterwards, and he said, "Yeah, you got to do this. You got to do this." Because comedians, we have our own sort of
A lot of comedians are incredible actors
dialogue.
who've never acted before, and it's an interesting thing.
It's a strange thing because it isn't organic. Because as a comedian, you're not really listening, and that's all acting is ultimately, or most of it.
But if you work with the audience, like a lot of comedians do,
You can be aware, you sense, you feel, you have all those things, but listening in terms of a conversation and reacting to the words you're hearing does not exist at all. It's a void and a vacuum in that regard. So the idea that an actor could listen is actually foreign. So when they can, Robin Williams, there's Jim Carrey has pulled off some amazing dramatic stuff. There's been a handful of people. Steve Martin in The Spanish Prisoner, fantastic. It's pretty remarkable. But please tell me about the live theater because I mean,
I guess that's kind of it. I got out of school and did, again, just sort of lucky. You know, I didn't realize what a boon it was going to school in New York because agents come see you for 3 years and get a real idea of what you can do. and the school situation, you're doing all kinds of different things. So again, I think this is normal. We're
You know-
supposed to do a ton of different things and be different people.
Right.
And I got this great job right out of school called Mad Forest, which I thought no one will ever forget this because it was such a massive hit. But of course, no one knows what it is anymore. But it was this play about the Romanian Revolution,
Of course.
which was big at the time, right? The Death of Ceausescu, this great play by Carol Churchill, and it was peopled with all these other actors I'd been hearing about when I was in school, who also, most of them had recently just gotten out as well. Callista Flockhart was in the cast, and Jake Weber and Tim Blake Nelson.
Wow.
All these great young actors, and like ensemble to the 10th degree. Like we just again, it was almost a better education than NYU in its way, because we had a great director named Mark Wing Davey, who's actually running NYU now, coincidentally, who was just all about ensemble, and the story as a whole is better, and everyone in it is better if everyone's just trying to tell the story and not trying to one-up each other or come up with the wittiest thing or a funny bit of business that you gravitate towards. And it ran for like 6 months, was this huge hit, and there was etchings of us in the New Yorker. I just thought this is how it is. It's like the biggest hit of my theatrical life, probably right out the gate. But it started me off on a good foot, I thought, and it made me like things kind of messy and kind of ugly, and I learned that nothing really bad can happen on a stage. Nothing.
Because it's going to be incorporated immediately.
Yeah, he did a benefit one night. The director, he looked a lot like W.H. Auden, and so he did the benefit for the theater. Where he had this one-man show he did in England, where he's W.H. Auden, and he came in from the audience, and he takes his hat and he throws it to this hat stand on stage, and it misses. And I was like, ooh, fuck up right out of the gate. And he was just like, the evening's first dramatic moment. Because of course it didn't matter if he made it or not. It was all about the attempt to make the hat, and our tension at, will he make it? And
Right.
I almost dumped my water. That would have been, see, nothing bad can happen.
That would have been awesome. I was just thinking.
Pink. But anyway, so then I did theater for like 7 years solid, pretty much. Just, I never thought to do anything else.
Right.
And I've never been good at that planning career thing. I don't know if you are, but I'm sort of corking the ocean about it, which is probably a mistake. But yeah, so I didn't start doing television and film until I was in my 30s.
Auditioning for stuff out while doing theater,
Yeah, other plays, or
but TV and film auditions out there while you're...
some, not many. I did a little recurring on a soap for a while. I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, I was going to say the big thing about the 1995 wasn't just The Father with Mr. Langella on Broadway. It was One Life to Live, mister.
Yeah.
We have that in common. That's the first thing we have in common.
Was One Life to Live?
I appeared on One Life to Live.
That was my first real job as well.
Really, Sammy?
That's correct.
Dr. Chen as well would be awesome.
But, alas.
But alas, alas. Sammy, you appeared on the One Life to Live?
That was my first on-camera job.
You were the age of?
14, 15.
Jesus.
I only got the job because I could juggle. That was it. They brought in 3 kids whose agents lied and said they could juggle whether or not they could.
And the words you spoke were?
Thanks. I was juggling, and she was like, "That's great. You're doing a great job. Thanks. There you go.
Done.
Nice.
Rent paid.
Yeah. Pretty exciting.
Under 5.
How long did you last on the One Life to Live?
I just recurred. It ended up being like it averaged out to like 1 episode a month for a year and a half or 2. I mean, it seemed fantastic to me. That was more cash than I'd seen in a pile at one time.
The strange thing
long
about
time.
TV, I have to ask, is does it become real for the folks at home, for the friends? When you know what I mean? When you're doing theater, certainly being on Broadway is as
Right.
real as it gets.
Well, they can't see it. They can't, my parents never got to come to New York and see me on Broadway or...
But now you're on TV in the afternoon.
Yeah, that was cool. That was better. It was even better when I did a play near home, like in Seattle I did a play. That was big news and big fun.
Yeah.
But I just never thought, my standard of living could go up. I don't know why. I wish I had. I wish I'd mixed it up a little better early on.
Right.
But I didn't. And I just...
Well, art and commerce doesn't mix in the mind of most.
No, and if you're young and feeling like, oh, I could go any second anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's fun. Get to go to these different places, meet new people, there's pretty girls.
You were actually living in the moment, as it turns out, and not thinking so much
I
about
guess
the
so.
future. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you got to beat yourself up over that one. I think that's pretty rich in terms of life.
I suppose so. It's something good came out of that, awful time
Yeah.
for my family.
Are you auditioning for stuff fairly regularly by 98 when you work with our dear friend, the brilliant Sam Robards on Maximum Bob? Was that one of your first regular
That was
series
one of
regular?
that was my first, I think. That was a year I decided, enough's enough. I gotta get out of this tiny apartment and pay off some student loan. I think I'd run into a friend of mine, a classmate on the street, and I was literally thinking, like, I don't have any food. How am I going to eat tonight? And then he was like, man, you're doing so good. I saw you in the New York Times again. That's fantastic. God, I wish I'd give my left leg for your career. And I was just like,
Career?
holy shit, I'm doing good?
Yeah.
This is good?
Right.
I've got to make some changes somehow. And so I was turning down theater jobs to focus more on film and TV. And I guess, I don't know what the deal was, but I just wasn't nervous. I don't know why. I wasn't nervous, and I booked like 3 pilots right out the gate, and I was just like, what have I been doing? They're just passing these things out.
That's the easiest thing.
But Maximum Bob was the only one of them that was picked up,
Right.
and that shot down in Florida with Sammy, and a great group, Bo Bridges and Liz Vassy, and it was fun. It was funny. It was one of the first funny things I'd done in a long time.
Yeah, out of the
I
shoot.
love that show.
Out of the shoot, you're on a funny show.
Yeah, sort of this hour-long.
Dramedy, but funny.
Yeah.
All these years later, you get back on the Raising Hope, but at that point, after all the dramatic stuff, people are like, is he?
Yeah.
Can he do the funny?
I mean, have you experienced, because you've done a wide range of stuff too. You're
Well, listen.
obviously a funny guy, but
I had to write it down after asking about secrets you can share about portraying a cyborg. But the danger is, he said, speaking from personal pain, is that when you become truly diverse by portraying a wide variety of characters, they don't think of you for any one particular type of character when casting something specific. There's that problem.
I suppose, yeah.
Well, yeah, and then because they love to pigeonhole, no, he's a funny guy, he can't read,
Right.
right? So if you start out in comedy, they probably...
Yeah, and all those pilots were half-hour multi-cameras other than Maximum Bob.
And your agents are saying, I have a problem getting in for the drama auditions. Because,
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I just did 7 fucking years doing theater. Why?
Yeah, it used to bug me a little bit because I couldn't understand why people didn't realize it's what we do.
Yeah.
Everyone I know can
You
do
can't
this.
just
pretty
make a
much.
sandwich. You can actually cook.
Yeah. But then you get one, and then, their minds are blown for a while, and then that's what you do for a while. Then you can't do the other one again.
That's all
They've
you are
forgotten.
for a while. Yeah.
But it's kind of, I kind of enjoy the challenge of it now.
Right.
Like, I can't?
Right.
Are you sure? And they might be right, but I'm going to believe I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in fact, in the case of Raising Hope, you had just finished the 2 films right before, or was it during the...
I can't remember. Oh, that was Oliver Sherman
yeah.
and
Amigo.
Amigo. Yeah. As I have to have short hair now for Raising Hope because I had sort of a soldier haircut from Oliver Sherman when I
Right.
started the pilot. Yeah. So I just finished those. They were pretty heavy stuff.
Pretty heavy indeed.
Yeah.
And it's in the dossier says you kind of said to your agents, let's try something light next.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to, and not just because I was a little tired, but I felt a little sort of, careerist urge to remind people that I could do other things too. And I don't know that I would have gotten any other comedy show other than Raising Hope, just because it's a little different. It's a little bit
Well, the humor's
skewed, yeah.
dry as opposed to reaching for the...
And it's single camera, and it's a little bit, the wit's really buried, a lot of it.
Right.
As well. So, lucky break again.
Well, lucky or
Serendipitous.
Since you had to go in and serendipitous in the sense that you were ready to be
Yeah.
quirky, oddball, funny.
And I think I was in New York at the time, like Sammy, and I went on tape for it, and Went well.
Yeah, apparently. What about in the case of Milch? Well, first of all, on Maximum Bob was the first time you worked with Bill Sanderson, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Right?
right. Yeah.
How good is he fucking in Deadwood?
He's great.
Jesus Criminy Jones.
Boy, they were hard on him too, because he would get these, because David would give you new script pages on the day,
Got a little famous for that.
you know, or the night before, you know, at best.
Monologues.
There was no table reads after about episode 4 of season 1, because there just weren't scripts finished in time.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved that. I kind of thought it was exciting. But Bill would learn his stuff, but then he'd get a rewrite. You know, Bill, this is going to be great, and it's a soliloquy about this long, which is delicious when he delivers them.
So delicious.
And I don't know this, but I suspect he would do that because it was so fantastic to watch him squirm and writhe trying to learn it, because I think it was probably bad for his health, but it was really good TV. But he would just get so stressed out, and it was just perfect for sweaty little Farnham.
Well, yeah, because if that was by design, then Milch is even a nuttier mad genius than
I know,
than we
right?
gave him
It can't
credit.
be.
But it could,
He might-
because if you see that result from slipping someone a last-minute soliloquy, and you see the result of it on camera, you go, well, I've got to create that again.
Yeah, he'd be an interesting guy for you to talk to. You know, he talks about having pickup football games with Elvis.
Bill,
Yeah, he was. Have you talked to him already?
I would love you to help make that happen.
I will then.
Okay, good.
I think he'd be an interesting.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got some stories
Pick up
to
football
tell.
games with Elvis.
He was part of that little entourage with fucking Elvis Presley. I mean, you know,
Red, Sonny, Bill.
he's got some stories here. Go deep.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so humble.
Make a,
He's a sweetheart.
go out at the trash can and see if I can hit you.
Yeah.
Wow. I always try to kill the other room.
Negro
It's a
loves
story
your
of mine.
Elvis.
So the first time with Milch, what is the jumping around a bit here? What
I was back in New York. I kind of split time between New York and LA. My wife's born and raised in New York, and so we'll never fully leave. But I was in New York at the time between jobs and getting a little low. Between jobs is not good time for workaholics. You know,
yeah.
you get a little.
There's also the fear I'm never going to do this again.
Sure.
No one will ever want me again.
Yeah. Did I sock?
Yeah.
You know, I must have socked, and I didn't think I did. And I remember when this came out, when the breakdowns came out for Deadwood, and my agents at the time were telling me about it, and I was like, finally. You know, I've been the cowboy in New York, you know, my whole life, which is just ridiculous to me because I'm a farm kid or a trucker's kid.
But you had a little bit of a rep, apparently, according to the dossier.
Of being the
That people
cowboy.
could say,
Yeah.
maybe don't be so cowboyish when you go into audition for the...
I guess so. It was a surprise to me, but I guess if, you know, I looked kind of corn-fed and
Right.
I don't know what.
Well, there might have been a real sort of
Yeah.
homestead, something.
But I was excited. There was finally a cowboy show coming out, and I was like, at last.
Right. It's clearly for me, you thought.
And I had an audition lined up for Bullock, the sheriff, that Timmy Oliphant eventually played. Timmy, I don't know why.
Wonderfully.
I think I can call him Timmy.
I think you should.
Funny guy as well. There's another one you'd love talking to.
I found him wildly engaging the one time I met him a few years
He's
back.
really a witty dude.
Holy crap.
I think he started in comedy as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
We need to get him.
Kevin Smith calls him.
I like him very much. But
So you read for that
before
part
I
first.
didn't, because before they got there, we got word that role had been cast. And I was like, well, what else is there? And I was like, well, there's no more series regulars. There's no more. And well, there's the doc. I read for the doc. And I was
Perfect.
just
That's
like,
perfect.
no, I don't want to read for the doc. I'll
Yeah.
never get that, you know. But they set up an appointment for that,
Mm.
you know, and I sort of dragged myself in. I rode my bike down the West Side Highway forever to this audition
To
in
try to
Chelsea
look.
Piers. Yeah, and I walked in the waiting room, and there's all these great-looking older dudes in vests and stuff, and I was like, that's the doc. It was perfect.
Right.
And I went in for David, and Walter Hill directed the pilot, and they were
Right.
sitting in there, and David was lying on the floor.
Sure.
Because he's got his back thing, or I don't know, he just preferred it, which threw me a little bit, but I liked him right away. And so I did my audition, and he was like, that was good, that was great. And I said, look, I know I'm not really what you might expect for the town doc, but he was like, oh, that's self-defeating, that's self-defeating. Would you read someone else? And I was like, that's what I was hoping you'd say. And they gave me McCall. So I went out in the hall and worked on that for a few guys, a few docs, and then went in and did McCall,
Right.
which was good.
I did my eye trick, which I think helped.
Well, that's my question. That's the follow-up. I'm sure you hear it a lot. Is that something you created, or they did it in the?
I did. I
makeup
can
chair?
do this thing with my eye. I don't know why. One eye. I did a whole play like that one time.
Was that in the script?
No, but it was that he had a funny eye. He had a sort of a lazy eye, a wall eye, and we actually had this contact lens ordered so I would wear that to have my funky eye. But it didn't arrive in time. They changed the shooting schedule, so I was shooting earlier and it hadn't arrived, and so in the makeup table,
Sure.
I said I can do this. So then they just painted a bunch of scars on me, and like something had happened to the nerves, and I became droop-eyed instead
Yeah.
of.
It was wildly effective.
It was
And
a
thank
big
goodness
help.
It was a great happy accident in terms of the scheduling, that you were forced to use a gift that you already had, that you could go half-mast on
Much
one
less
side.
time, and then you'd read reviews about the horribly ugly Jack McCall and blah blah blah. He spends hours in the makeup chair, and I was like, oh, it's about that long. They just put some dirt on me, really.
Yeah.
I guess I'm that far from horribly ugly.
Well, you were the character. The character was. We had this experience watching Hugo, where Jamie was unnerved at one point, saying, "Is this fucking kid ever going to shower?"
I don't know why I was so. I just went. Well, the thing that took me out of it was he kept visiting the other house, the girl at the house. Don't you think at one point she would be like, "Oh, I know you're living in the train station. Would you like to take a hot shower?" I don't know. I
Yeah.
just thought at
Somebody
one
help
point
this kid find a
maybe
bath.
he would have taken a shower.
Same clothes every day.
I know it's silly.
No, but it's true. It is something that catches your eye, and you want to think it's by design. And in the case of Jack, they certainly made a choice to have him be a filthy, sort of unkept, not
Drunk,
particularly
yeah.
ever giving a thought to hygiene or
No,
personal appearance.
they used to. I mean, we were kind of lucky because at least we'd go into the trailer, and John Rizzo, this great makeup artist, would lovingly make you filthy with his special brew that he'd mix up. But the extras, they would just take him
Throw shit on
outside. They'd take him outside. They had like a reverse vacuum thing.
No.
They'd be like, ooh, there'd be just clouds of dust. They had a mask they'd wear, and they'd just stand there
Like
and get.
Pigpen.
Yeah.
It'd be like Pigpen.
It was horrible,
That is horrible.
but they loved it.
How gruesome! I saw you tweeted some pictures about revisiting the street.
Mm-hmm.
How gruesome was that watered-down, muddy thoroughfare?
It was appropriately sort of pitted and rutted and rained out, and
Boy, it couldn't look more authentic.
yeah.
And I just thought, as a lazy actor, oh, what a horrible night of work this must have been.
Well, it's harder on the crew,
Sure.
really.
Much.
I don't know why they stayed with us. Well, I do, because they were as equally proud of it as we were.
Right.
And it was very rewarding to do. But for our part, you so could have been in this thing.
Because there were many Jews.
Well, there were.
Just the one that I can remember, and he's brilliant.
But you'd come around the corner from the trailers, and turn this corner and just look on this street, and it was so easy to be in this world. It was just
Where is the?
immediately. It's the Melody Ranch, the famous Melody Ranch up in Newhall, that's been around since I think 1920 or something, and I think Gene Autry bought it in the 40s, and so many famous westerns have been shot there, and Django Unchained is there at the moment, at least partially, and.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a stunning piece of history, and there's a museum there you can go to, and
Wow.
it was just really cool to be a part of it,
Yeah.
and it was just a fun set. People would hang out.
I would think
after
so.
they were done,
Yeah.
because you didn't really want to go.
Yeah.
Sounds really nerdy. but
No. There's
was
something about
a
the
feeling.
environment when you're working on something. When you go visit somebody on a set, I'm good for about 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and then I got to get out of there.
Yeah, it's not.
But as a place to work every day, it becomes your home.
Yeah,
And in that case, you're taken to another era,
and it's exciting.
and you want to be in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would think.
you see, because things are changing every moment.
Right.
So you do something great, or you do something that David likes.
Right.
Then he's shouting out changes from behind the camera because he saw it and liked it, but it gave him an even better idea. And then the cameraman is, like, well, why don't I shoot it from over here if he's going to do that? So everybody's just firing, and everybody's,
Yeah.
on this mission to make this special thing, even better. And
It had a magic quality to it.
it did.
Speaking of David's last-minute ideas, I understand on your last day of shooting as McCall, spoiler alert, 10 years later, after killing Wild Bill Hickok, he says, on your last day is when he says, you allegedly said to him, so this is it, huh? And he said,
I did.
let's take a walk. I think I
That's
got something
funny.
else
You got
in
a
mind.
very complete dossier.
Yeah.
I did. I was sad. I was sad it was
Yeah,
ending.
because you're like in the first 8, 9.
I think the first 7
7.
is me. Yeah, and not every one of those, but I think 6 of those first 7. And
But profoundly, since your character.
I loved it. Yeah, I think that 4th episode, which is the death of Hickok, I think is just it's so heart wrenching and beautifully done. And
Yeah.
I thought Keith was fantastic as Wild Bill Hickok. But I loved this. I mean, this was an experience I'd never had before. I thought this is what it was going to be like
Right.
on TV. You know, this is normal.
Right.
This caliber of writing and this.
The caliber writer, so normal.
Yeah. And the freedom and the trust they gave you, to do things.
Empowering you.
Yeah, and it was a lot of physical stuff I got to do. I like doing physical things, but yeah, I was really sad, and he was on set as he was most of the time. He'd always show up to sort of set the tone for each scene, and I said, so this is it. This is my last day. I'm sad, and I don't know if he would have told me anyway, or if this made him feel guilty and he decided on the spot. For all I know, that he could have. But he just was like, yeah, it is. Come here, let me talk to you about something I've been thinking about. And we went to the Gem Saloon, which was Al's saloon, which was not being used that day. And we just sat there and under all these antlers, and signs. And he told me this idea for me to come back and play Hearst, play
Right.
George Hearst.
Which in true life you were a little more similar to.
I think so.
Similar enough.
I think he was a little older than me at the time, but sort of in between me and Gerald, who eventually played him. And,
Wonderfully.
Wonderfully.
Holy crap,
yeah.
was he good.
Again, things worked out as they should have.
Right. But he
So
said
he had this great idea. He's like, well,
you're going to come back as a different
come
character.
back as a different
And
character.
you thought, sure, that happens all the time.
yeah, I'm not going to turn that down. I was worried at one point about hurting the show. I was at least in control of my faculties enough to think,
About others?
I want this thing to remain great. I don't want to be that thing that everyone goes like, it was great until they brought that dude back. Why?
Yeah.
But
And without the sleepy eye.
but of course I said yeah. And we had this prosthetic nose. John and I talked about because he had he had quite the beak on him, the regal beak. Very severe, cool-looking dude, and we were going to shave my hairline back a little bit and let it get long. And I was working on my beard. But then he called. I was doing a play, I think, back east, and said he's just not going to be much of a character in the second episode. I think it's better if he's out of sight, just this out of sight power. And I played cool, but my heart fell, because I loved it, and I didn't know it was ever going to happen for me,
Right.
again.
Right.
And but then he said, but there's this other guy.
And you're
He's
thinking,
right in your
really?
wheelhouse. And of course I said, yeah, and it turned into this sort of psychopath, sadist geologist.
Was that
I
the
mean-
beginning of the dark side that's now been represented in several roles? Or had you done it just a little bit before that?
I can't remember.
Certainly not that
I-
large of a platform.
I certainly had done them on stage. I played
Right,
a horrible zealot on stage in Tim Nelson's play, Eye of God, which they made a movie out of later, with Martha Plimpton in it, oddly enough, whose father is Keith Carradine.
Your current co-star, whose father
Weird.
you killed
Uh,
in Deadwood, yes.
but
Which is pretty cool.
I think it kind of was. I think Jack although I guess there'd been a string of guest spots probably that were always bad guys, but
Yeah, in terms of showy, in terms of large platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Series regular.
I mean,
It's pretty bold at the time, too. You think in terms of who's the serial killer on Showtime that everybody
Dexter,
loves?
Michael
There you
C.
go,
Hall.
the Dexter. In
Yeah.
terms of stars of shows being the killer,
yeah.
I think it was fairly bold at the time in terms of making one of the regulars, because we don't meet him as this
Right.
serial killer.
No,
We
just a sort of upright,
very
which made me more
Straight-laced.
nervous than anything because I'd never played anybody sort of, high status before.
Oh, really?
I was much more comfortable, sort of blue-collary and I just thought no one's going to buy this, me in a suit.
yeah,
You know, it's
proper
just,
tight ass.
Isn't it weird? I didn't even own a suit. But
It's just weird, the games you play on yourself, like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know, no
I'd
one's
have to
gonna-
put a suit on.
And then like, oh,
Yeah.
collar helps. You know,
I certainly feel different.
tie.
Yeah.
But I loved it, and I put brown contacts in. You know, it was just another person to lose yourself in, and we were really fortunate that we'd done the lazy eye thing, and he was so filthy, and I would always kind of try to slouch around because I wanted to be shorter than Keith, and we're about the same height. So a lot of people were fooled, you know, for a while anyway.
Well, for a while, it seemed like, according to the research, even the ardent fans were fooled. And it wasn't a matter of fooling anyone.
Yeah,
It was just
no,
a choice that you made, and you want to be able to separate these two roles.
And I didn't want to put anybody out.
Right.
I'm sure there were plenty of people that saw right away.
Right.
You know, and they were sort of like, what's going on? And
My sense was, because I didn't know anything about the show when I sat down to watch it back to back for 3 days, the greatest marathon
probably the best
ever.
way to watch it.
Oh, God, it's the best way to watch any television show. Was I knew right away, but it didn't throw me out at all. I just thought, what an incredibly hip thing to do. And just in terms of, I like this actor, I don't care, we're going to bring him back to play somebody else. No, they're not related. They're not connected at all. He's a completely different guy. And it didn't take me out of it for more than maybe 90 seconds while I processed that and moved on.
Yeah.
Because it was so well written and so well executed, and you didn't fuck it up.
Well, and that might have been good too. And I felt an enormous amount of pressure not to fuck it up. You know, I really, these were my friends, and I wanted to live up to this, you know, massive gift he'd given me. So I worked really hard on it, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I love this kind of.
You ended up working, as we mentioned the Bill Sanderson thing beforehand, but then afterwards you work with Hawks again, and you work with Molly
yeah.
Parker again a couple of times, I
Right.
think,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing has got to be kind of fun.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it was a talented group of people on that show. You know, I'm not surprised at all that Tim has another big hit show.
Yeah.
That's I think is pretty great.
Yeah,
And you've seen some Deadwood people on it.
yeah, we're about to launch into that world of Justified.
What do you mean? You're gonna go do something?
Nope, haven't seen an episode.
Oh,
Feel horrible.
it's okay.
Everyone that's ever talked about this show, it's another one of those.
Never mind if people don't. I mean, you're busy.
Well, no, it's not
people
just
are,
that.
People are busy.
I actually have a reverse effect to everyone telling me that something is the greatest thing ever.
You're like, I'm not gonna watch it then.
Well, I don't know that it's.
I have a little bit of that. I mean, I still haven't seen The Wire, and I really want to.
We're done. We're done.
I really want to.
No, I'm serious. We're done. Next week, John Sally.
Yep.
I'm gonna watch it in 4 days straight.
But you're right. It is that thing where it's like,
I can't wait to see it, but I'm just like, when am I going to
Everyone
watch the
tells me-
freaking Wire?
here's what happened to me on well, that's not, forget it. Let's move on. I was going to give my reasons
I've
for
lost you.
tuning away from Deadwood initially,
the
but I think it
problem
happened
is
to a lot of people. They're like, why are these cowboys saying motherfucker?
You're going to find the time with The Wire because you'll watch the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then you'll just start canceling shit you had planned.
That
So
is the
stay home
problem.
and watch it.
I mean, I have all the season DVDs for Breaking Bad. Another one that's I've seen 3 episodes. Loved every one I've seen. It was the same with The Wire. I've seen like 2 or 3 of them, and I'm like, this is fantastic.
Breaking Bad's tough though, because that's tough. You can't watch a lot of episodes back to back. It's just so this material's so heavy.
Is
it's
it?
tough. It's tough.
Initially,
that's a tough one.
first season for sure.
Yeah,
That's
a tough
another one.
to
I've
just
just,
keep.
I've just got to make time to
It's a
do it.
marathon.
Well, now you know. Next time you're laid out sick for 3 days in a row, should that ever, God
Wire.
forbid, happen,
And Breaking Bad are
these are the
my,
things that make you
my
feel
healers.
better. I mentioned Twitter briefly. You were sort of either bullied or gave in to the notion of social media.
Right.
How do you feel about the public at large having access to your
Well, I mean, I can't really
thoughts?
pretend I'm greater than it. Or, I mean, I'm in it.
No,
You know,
I'm asking
I've shown
now
my
that-
ass.
now that you've
you know?
jumped in,
I
what
can't unshow it.
No. But now that you're in it, what are your? Are you feeling like sometimes?
I don't mind it. You know, I try not to reveal too much personal stuff.
Good idea.
You know, and I'm not a comedian. You know, I'm not a gifted. I don't feel really witty all the time. You
I'm
know,
not terribly funny on Twitter.
but you know, you see some people
Or
they're
in
just
person.
hilarious. I love reading their stuff and that I quote them. You know, but I just didn't want it to consume me too much. You know, and so I'm getting more facile at it. You know, I'm building my little fan base, but
most of the time I just feel like a fence sitter on it. You know, like I'm not offending anyone, or
Right.
you know what I mean. And I think that might be a leap you should take if
It
you're
is.
going to be on there.
Yeah, at some
know?
point you got to cut loose and just
Yeah.
be you. If you're going to do it,
Yeah.
let people know.
Otherwise, it's boring.
Yeah.
You know, but
I know. The first time I did the replacing letters with signs for the word shit or something, and 3 people retweeted me saying, "Yeah, go ahead and cuss. You're good here.
oh yeah.
Don't worry about the censorship so much." And now I'm just a sailor. We have a game on the show that I
Uh-oh.
would love to introduce you to. And it involves our very own Sam Levine.
What the? If only we had an intro to roll.
Roll the intro.
Is he still awake? Yeah. Nice. Look at your little.
Yeah, I'm wearing a tuxedo with no tie, and I'm. What do I look like? I look like Bobby Cannavale, I think, in that.
Bobby Cannavale's not a bad way to go,
with
though.
my olive skin and thick features.
Your guinea olive skin?
Yeah.
Thick features.
The eyebrows, just thick, just in your face.
Yes.
You know?
There's a little bit of a Adam Carolla thing happening,
he's
too.
a swarthy, just a manly man.
Yeah.
All right.
Sexy.
Well done.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Me too.
So this is Who Tweeted. Oh, it's the game that's sweeping the nation, so much so that so many news outlets have stolen it from us.
It's true. They
We have no legal leg to stand on.
Nope.
So here's how the game works. I'm going to read a series of 8 tweets. And
One at a time.
One at a time. And as I'm reading the tweet, as soon as you think you know who authored the tweet, ring in, smack the table, say your name, do something to get my attention.
Okay.
And then I'll point to you. You have 3 seconds to say either Tyra, Paris, or Bieber.
Bieber. Okay.
Justin, the great.
The only one you referred to by his last name.
Well,
They're
we're
all
gonna call
one
him
name.
Justin.
They're all one name.
All right. Tyra, Paris, or Bieber.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, you mentioned at the top that instinctively you're a little competitive.
Okay.
It's just in you.
I'll go. I promise. I won't lay
here's-
down.
Here's how the scoring works. You buzz
like
in, you get it
Yahtzee.
right, you're going to get yourself 5 points. But if you buzz in and get it wrong, you're going to lose 3.
Penalty for being wrong.
And,
is
and at
gonna
the
go
end,
badly for me.
At the end of 8 tweets,
We have our winner.
when we have a winner,
Is there a prize?
he's going to get that.
Cash.
Right there. Cold hard cash.
Come on.
Lord.
I want every opportunity to bring out the competitiveness. So
We
let's.
don't play for glory.
Remember those salad days when the
Yeah.
guy said you had a great career and you weren't sure where the SpaghettiOs were coming from
That's
that night?
right. This is it.
Get yourself a can. You know
get a
what?
lot
Buy
of
yourself
ramen
a
for that.
can of a big case of ramen noodles. Go back to New York. Go down to the village. We'll find the Lower
Shells
East
and
Side
cheese.
now. Find
Yep.
some young poor
Can of
actor
tuna.
walking around and pay it forward. That's what we're going to do with this.
We'll do it.
Or yeah, I
All
like
right.
it. I like it a lot.
Are you ready to
Sammy.
play? Who
Yes,
tweeted?
sir.
All right, here-
Tweet.
Tyra, Paris, or Bieber.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, we should also tell, if I may, sorry.
Please.
Because sometimes it takes 3 or 4 answers to find this out. So I just decided we should maybe let them know ahead of time. These were not designed so that they were obviously Tyra, Paris, or Demi, or Bieber, but rather, I would have never, so
Right.
it's a little
They're not
trick.
as obvious as you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not fair for the guests not to know.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Because I do know that going in, that it's purposely designed by our very own Jamie to not be so damn obvious. So just keep that
I
in
work
mind.
really
right.
hard on this for about 15, 20 minutes. So,
Tweet number 1.
It's exciting, right?
Sammy.
You feel it? Yeah, Sammy's into it.
Had another incredible weekend in Vegas. Just landed back in LA. Home sweet home.
Kevin Paris.
That is correct.
You like that one?
Kevin Paris.
Yeah.
Well, I was
What?
him,
I
was
thought
him
you were
ringing
joking.
in.
Oh.
It was him ringing in by saying
I got
Kevin.
you.
Sometimes it helps when you ring in and say you're wrong.
I would have gotten
Yeah.
wrong, so I'm glad you did it.
Ah!
I thought it was Bieber.
All right, it's just a 5-point lead, not a big deal. Tweet number 2.
He's going to say each one with the same enthusiasm, by the way.
All right.
Just to make it a square level playing.
Wow! Facebook! Feeling inspired by the talented minds of Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg. Talk about one powerful business duo.
Garret, Tyra.
That is correct!
Oh!
Nice!
We are tied.
Right.
Nice, buddy boy.
I stole your ringing in
done.
technique as well.
Yeah.
I like
Because
it.
if we both go at
Enthusiasm.
the same time, he won't.
I don't know. I'm
That's
looking
right.
at the thing. Tweet number 3. Great family day on the beach. Now back in the studio.
Kevin Bieber.
Obviously.
That is correct.
Well, it could have been Tariff.
Not that I.
suppose.
See, he knows. That's
been,
right.
man.
She considers herself something of a musical artiste.
Oh, so the studio could have been her television studio. Mm-hmm. And she's big on family.
Tweet number 4. All day photo shoot today. All caps.
Garret, Tyra. Oh, sorry. Back to 0.
No. You're just +2. You only lose 3.
You only lose
That was Bieber.
That was Bieber?
That was
I would have
Bieber.
said Paris. That was a hard one.
Shoot.
It's all right.
This is
only
like poker.
halfway
I
there.
always overbet in poker. I draw to inside straight stuff like that. I'm out.
The game is
Immediately.
Tuesday night, by the way.
Well, if I win this, you'll be getting it back.
Tweet number 5.
Okay.
Getting intense, guys. Don't you love it when you wake up before your alarm and you can go back to sleep?
Yes, I do, actually.
Best feeling to get in those extra minutes.
Garret, Paris.
Oh, I would have said the same thing.
And you would have both been wrong.
Oh.
See?
We're in a hole.
Saving your ass.
You are totally saving my ass. You're only -1, though.
That's right. That was Tyra. It's all right. Tweet number 6. Who do you guys think's going to win the Super Bowl?
Oh, God, Kevin Paris. That's so banal.
But it's also correct.
Oh, no.
Look at you.
Fortunately, the last question is worth...
That's okay. We still got 2 to go.
Yeah, the last question is also worth 20 points, so
Got 2 to go.
it's wide open.
Tweet number 7.
I feel despondent.
That's why you had the game, by the way, to make the guest feel horrible. That's how I like to finish out.
Tweet number 7.
Destroy your will to live.
Loving life to the fullest.
Garret, Bieber.
Oh, no.
I'm determined to get a Bieber.
Paris.
How could she love life to the fullest?
I don't know.
25.
Yes, Kevin was not wrong. The last question is, in fact, worth
20 points.
22 points.
Oh, 22?
I'm only down -4. 20 would still win it.
No, 20 would give him 16.
All right.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You don't need
He
to
would
pad
win
it
by
for
exactly
me.
1.
You don't need to even try to make this exciting.
But you do have to get it right. If I guess wrong or right, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to sit back and let you get it right.
Oh, really? You're not even going to play?
I'm going to let you get a chance to win this
You're like the
fucker.
Patriots
Yeah,
right
pretty
now.
much. I'm going to let you back in.
And I'm going to realize it just too late before I get to the end zone. Like, oh,
All right.
this was too easy.
No, you're fine. The 8th and final tweet. For all the marbles. And boy, is it fitting here today.
No.
The question?
This particular
Tweet?
And all I can tell you is, people ain't ready.
Tyra.
I'm sorry, it sounded what I can't hear sometimes out of this ear.
That means that was the wrong answer.
I just one more in my good ear.
It sounded like you said Elvis.
Yeah,
Which
is
is
that
not
no, it can't be Elvis.
Can't
it's
be
either,
Elvis. He's
it's
not
either,
one of the
it's
three.
either Tyra,
I've lost.
Paris,
I don't need your pity or your charity.
Bieber.
I'm happy to have lost to someone skilled at this game.
Well, that was Justin Bieber. You're a gentleman for not taking it. when
And
I-
that's how you play.
that is, in fact, how you play.
Incredibly fun,
Wow,
isn't
look
it?
at that. I got 1 right.
No, yeah, but that's all right. You get him next time. Garret. That was fantastic.
Thank you, sir. Put that back in the bank
All right,
for next week.
very well.
Now that I've completely crushed your soul and your spirit,
Crossing.
did you cross?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you announce?
Yeah.
How many sets were you on before you understood what was happening when someone said flashing? When you said crossing, it made me always think of the wardrobe department taking your photo saying flashing.
You know, I don't remember, but the soap stuff, I was pretty green.
How fast is
I
that
remember
education?
the girls moving me physically to my mark, like like I would walk up in front of them to start, like no regard for the camera.
Right.
And they were so beautiful. I just was so tongue-tied. They're like, no, honey, right here. See those? oh yeah.
Those are your marks.
At a loss, yeah. So I'm sure I'm sure I wasn't even taking in flashing or any of that stuff before.
Right. The first movie set you were on.
What you mean? What was it? Or-
Yeah.
I think it was this. I shot this film in Chile called Last Call with Peter Coyote and Elizabeth Berkley.
Love one of them very, very much.
You don't even know who Elizabeth Berkley is.
Showgirls.
Yeah, but what is she
Oh,
most
dear.
known for?
Saved by the Bell.
Oh, I'm shocked you know.
I thought he was going to say First Wives Club.
Nice.
But it's
Thank
also,
you.
I enjoy that film.
Love Peter Coyote, who ends up briefly in the Deadwood as well.
Oh yeah.
It all
yes,
circles
he did.
back, does it
That's
not?
right. That's right.
So first film set, you're feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, I felt a little more comfy, but
Right.
I watch it and I don't think I'm very good in it. So
Don't watch it.
yeah,
Would be my
there you go.
suggestion. How are you on that one?
Too late.
Watching yourself.
It's not my first choice, but I'm really hard on myself, so it's not like, I'm gonna be covering myself in cocoa butter while I do it. It's gonna be
Fur-lined
it's
glove.
Gonna, yeah,
it's not going to
be-
happen.
No, won't be having it.
Uh,
But I learn.
Is it the second time, first time you see the movie, either at the premiere or you see it cut early? You can't possibly enjoy it because you are scrutinizing your performance only.
Right.
Second time you see it, you have a chance to possibly see the film for the first time.
Yeah.
How are you on that second viewing, if in fact it ever happens?
It's better, I tend to make little comments. Like it's bad to go with friends because I'll ruin it for them. Just like, oh, fuck that up.
Yeah.
Turn
Why did you
around,
just
Garrett.
take?
Turn around. Or just some dumb, I don't know. So it's a little better.
Right.
But I will fast forward through parts.
And then afterwards,
You don't want to see that.
it becomes less possible to watch it. Most actors, like if they're,
Yeah, I mean it's not. I don't agonize about it. It's fine.
One way or
I
the
can
other.
watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, all of my films, including a lot of bad ones, play on a continuous loop in my house on 7 screens.
Well, there you go.
I have no problem.
Do you have a problem though, seriously, watching it, or is it sort of just a learning experience for you, or?
Well, for me, it's the way I describe it. The first time I can't see, I'm just scrutinizing what I did or the horrible choices the director made in editing. And then the second time, I can actually see the film.
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes, it was a great experience. And
Yes.
You're there with all your friends. You want to have a good time
thinking
watching it.
about
and-
that more.
Yeah.
And then after that, I actually am a little creeped out. Like if someone, my fear is that someone would ever come to visit unexpectedly and catch me
There you
watching
are.
myself in a movie. That would really be. Let me just say, that would really be. This one's can't stop. Sometimes they'll do a loop of Casinos on every other minute.
I do get to. You're like,
And
you're
'cause-
watching this again. I'm
yeah.
like, but you could. And I like to put on movies like just for background noise, and that's a great one just because the soundtrack's so good.
Yeah. So what
you
I need to
could-
do clearly is buy you the soundtrack.
I remember my mother and I. That movie came out so long ago that my mother and I had the soundtrack on double. It was on cassette, and it was 2 cassettes.
Absolutely.
That's how much music. was in-
95?
The
Yeah.
movie's 3 hours. First of all,
Yeah.
pack a lunch.
Look, we didn't have a CD player in the car. We were middle class. Okay.
Sorry, my mother's Ford Taurus had a cassette only.
There you go.
How about our fucking year-old Lexus or 3-year-old Lexus or whatever has
That's still got a
fucking
cassette.
player.
I love it.
2000 what? 8?
Nine.
9. 2009
Wow.
still has a cassette
Hang
yeah,
on.
because
for a nostalgic reason.
Net's car was made for people your age who might still be hanging on to your cassette
I do
tapes.
now see what you're saying.
Wow.
Still-
It's the
Listen,
market.
I'm the out of place guy driving a car like that.
You've got to be upset.
No,
I
I
should
lo-
be
I-
appreciative.
I think it's great.
Right.
True. My 72-year-old mother loves that car, the Lexus.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
There you go.
I am not. I'm not.
Oh, excuse me.
Even demographic.
she's only 71. She's going to be pissed.
Yeah, nice
Sorry.
going.
Not quite yet.
How about this?
Yeah.
As a fact in one's dossier, I put it out there to the to the crew at large, and cast. Brad Pitt once offered.
Oh,
in
I
fact,
love this
did
story.
Call the producers of a television pilot, which just got picked up for a series called The Book of Daniel, and said, "Look, we really want him for the assassination of Jesse James by coward Robert Ford." And I'm thrilled that your TV show pilot has now got picked up for a series. But look, I'm Brad Pitt. I'll appear on your television show if you just let us. And they said to Brad,
No.
he's Jesus. He's in every scene. He works every
Which
show.
I guess was the truth, but that was a bad day,
Motherfucker.
but a generous thing of him to do. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was my first job after Deadwood. I think I still had my beard from Wolcott.
Holy shit.
I'm one of the few actors in town that might have had a beard or something, so I got Jesus.
To go in and read for Jesus, you
One
happen
of
to
those
have
moments I might have should have said no.
but I was afraid of not having work. You know what I mean?
Well, you're no good with the in-between time. You made that clear.
Yeah. But then it didn't get picked up after we shot the pilot, which I actually thought was pretty good. I like Aidan Quinn.
Love Aiden.
And
He will fight for the Irish
yeah.
if you give him an opportunity. He will fight for it.
So I thought I was free and clear, and I went and got that part, and which would have been my biggest film role to date. And yeah, then they picked it up out of the blue, so suddenly I wasn't available. But yeah, I was pretty impressed that he offered that. I hadn't met him.
You hadn't met him?
No.
See, I had thought that, well, he was clearly pregnant along with the director with the idea of you playing the part, though.
I guess so. Maybe
Right.
he liked to tape, or Andrew was just a big champ. Andrew
the
Dominic,
director,
yeah. But regardless, they were really generous to give me some other part on the thing, Ed Miller, which was fun too.
Pretty damn fun, I'll bet. Especially after hearing that they were rooting for you the way they were, and they brought you in to play.
Yeah, it's kind of. I don't want
Even
to
if
say
it was a
embarrassed right now. I'm embarrassed, but it's
No,
really, it's really
it's-
nice. It's really cool.
Well, these little moments happen. Look, you didn't call up Brad and say, "Would you do this on my behalf?" That's something
Yeah.
you should be embarrassed about.
Right.
If you did that. But a guy choosing to call on your behalf just based on seeing a tape or whatever and liking the idea of you being in the movie, let someone else tell that story.
Yeah.
Again, it would be embarrassing if you told it.
Is it?
but I beat it out of you.
I don't think, and I think the stories that's out there is a little wrong, because I think Sam Rockwell, who did play the part, was originally offered it like long before I came on the scene, but
Right.
said no. So then they were having to find someone else, and it was a kind of situation where then when I fell out,
Then went
it
back
was a
to Sam.
major sort of like please. I even called him because we were friends and just thought this would be a great part. And honestly, after seeing it, I don't know if you've seen it. It's a long one as well.
I love it, actually.
But I couldn't see myself in it anymore after I saw him. I mean that.
In that part.
Yeah, I thought he was great. Again, there's another guy that can do anything, funny,
my.
whatever.
Yeah.
Casey, another
Did
one.
you see the behanding in Spokane, the thing you did with...
I didn't.
Dunna?
I was never in town when it was there. But
we did see it, and holy shit,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
He's great. He's great.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that's never bad. It's true.
Nope.
Not capable.
No.
Yeah. And steals focus. Brilliantly. Listen, Sleepy Eye. He's not the only one. I love having guests on the show that have worked with the Coen brothers. We've had a few. And there is a situation also which I think is inspiring to aspiring out there, where you read repeatedly for the part of Llewyn, who
Llewellyn, yeah.
Llewellyn, that Josh and Brolin ended up playing
Right.
in No Country for Old Men. As you, if I may quote you, every time a star was offered it and fell out or something, they came back to me. But 5 times or something you read for this.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I think that might just be it was more
lot.
than once.
Was it?
Yeah.
Multiple.
And I don't know that they were, if they came back or my people just badgered them into seeing me again, but they would say yes. And I really like them. You've met them, I'm sure.
I have met with them a few times now and have yet to be called to duty. So I'm always curious because I've heard nothing but extraordinary tales of them on the set and how they work.
They were just effortless and.
They're great in the meetings, by the way. In fact,
Yeah,
I even read a couple times, and to make those guys laugh,
It didn't make you feel good.
it made me feel like I had won, literally. No more, we're done with this, all of it.
Yeah.
So in the case of No Country, you are comic relief in a film that kind of needs it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And your scenes with Tommy Lee, boy, oh boy, is your character a hysterical sort of...
It was a tough, not tough. It wasn't tough. It was they have everything boarded, you know, and they know what they want. And Tommy's also a director, so I was in very capable hands. But I mean, you couldn't have him be such a buffoon that you'd think, why is this guy the deputy? Why would Tommy Lee Jones' character, you know, suffer this fool? You know, he would not have hired him. So he just had to be sort of green, you know, but capable in his way. So we just made him a little overzealous. And
I thought what was charming, and I'm curious if this was at all part of the creative process, was that he just lacked an inner monologue. Some of that, you know what I mean? So instead of
so.
being...
Right, it's all right there, isn't it?
Yeah, instead of being, like you say, not terribly intelligent or what have you, he was just a fairly talkative fella who
Yeah.
spoke his thoughts when maybe he should have thought them through.
Easily the most excitement he's ever had on the job is this thing. You know, he's never had to pull this gun probably before, or you know, and there's a good chance he might. And you know, this is the real deal, Sheriff. Like, we gotta let's go. You know, and it's just sort of easy tiger, but the humor is so there. It's in the book. You know, it's in Cormac's writing and in the way they stage stuff and the sort of understatement.
Here's an example of a book you carried around a bit, no?
Well, it's one of his later works, you know, so I didn't carry it around as long.
Sure.
But I certainly read it the day it came out, you know.
Devoted fan.
Yeah, just, you know, wishing I could be that good of a writer. But I think it's one of his most easily translatable to film as well. Blood Meridian's been bouncing around for a long time through all kinds of, you know, owners of the rights, and they still can't get that thing shot. It's just so huge.
Can't quite figure out how to cut it.
But boy, there's some parts in there.
And then again on the road?
Yeah,
In the case of one of the actors, according to the dossier, you had been such a fan of his that the chance to work with Viggo.
With Viggo.
Was, that's one of those things that comes along every now and then in an acting career, if you're lucky, where you get to work with a hero. And sometimes it's, well, beyond a disappointment.
Right. It's
so
true. I never think about that.
I always like to hear when it's not a disappointment.
Well, I just, and again, I don't know if you should think this way, but I've never thought about the size of the role too much. It's just more about the project. Mm-hmm. You know, I really want to be a part of it.
Right.
And in the case of The Road, it's the man and the boy. Those are the roles. Everyone else is going to be people they pass. So it's all, you know, Duvall was there as long as I was. So I was like, oh, I can. If Duvall can do it, you know.
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah, how dare I? But again, I just wanted to be a part of it, and Viggo being there. I was a big fan of his during college when he was in The Indian Runner. I thought that was a really great movie.
He's exceptional. He's another one that's capable of giving a bad performance.
I think so, and certainly, and he's really kind. I mean, he's kind to everyone. He knows everyone on set, you know. People talk about how, I remember reading some things like he refused to take showers and wash during The Road because he wanted to stay in character the whole time. And I know that he did do that some, but I think it's just because he was exhausted. I mean, he's there every minute, and he's just like, fuck it, I'll just go to bed and get up, save us all some time, and I get a little sleep, and, you know?
Right.
Drinks yerba mate tea and rolls his own smokes and loves Argentinian soccer teams. And
boy, does it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting fellow. I think him more than anyone I've worked with maybe is really sort of living an artistic life, and he knows the value of outside interests, you know, having an influence on what you do,
right? You
know, on screen. Or he's interesting fellow.
Yeah, complex and very interesting. Greg Garcia. So you do. We mentioned at the top. You do a couple of not both dark but heavy material in the two movies. Oliver Sherman and Amigo, John Sayles' Amigo, Ryan Redford, no relation.
No.
Oliver Sherman. You get nominated, by the way, for the Genie Award for Best Actor from the Oliver Sherman. I only saw the trailer, and it freaked me out, and I thought it was mesmerizing. So I'm now can't wait to.
It's good. I'm proud of it. Yeah, we worked hard.
Yeah.
Molly Parker from Deadwood came to me about that script. She's Canadian, and Ryan is Canadian, and it's a Canadian film.
Right.
Obviously nominated for Genie.
Hence the Genie Award.
But she just was like, he's a kid, and he's not done a ton, but you should read this. He wants us to be in it. You know, he's a big Deadwood fan, I think, and I loved it. And I thought it would be a big challenge again to play this guy, and you know, post-traumatic stress and head wound and all that.
But how deep does it go is the question in the film until it reveals itself.
Yeah.
So you finish these two roles, and you say to your agents, I want to do something a little funny, and
they came with that script.
Yeah, and the first title, Keep Hope Alive, Raising Hope.
Which I think is a great title.
It is, certainly. I was surprised and happy that they kept it for as long as they did.
Yeah.
That's the first thing a network usually adds water to.
Yeah.
Something that funny and dark. But Tell me about because this was is this now really your 8th? Is that possible? Series?
I think it's my eighth series regular.
The television is
Makes you feel
very,
old.
very
Yeah.
good for you.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
Again, you may not know.
it all feels so
'Cause of the-
compressed because I started so late,
Right.
so I forget. And
Right.
But how many pilots did you do that did not get picked up?
yeah, there's been a good number, 4 or 5.
Yeah. So you're almost on Clooney numbers. Legitimately.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm almost
Was it
George
9?
It was
Clooney.
9 before ER.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
I only know that because Les Moonves, the king of all show business, repeatedly said, I stuck with Clooney through 9. You're fine. You should do this. All right.
But it has been, and
How
yeah,
much fun, by the way. This is the same creator from My Name is Earl. I think that's probably where people know Greg Garcia from most.
yeah, I'm sure they do.
The show is now in its second full.
Second full season,
Right.
yeah.
There was a hiccup in between on the first season, so I'm curious what the relaunch felt like.
Was there?
Just in terms of a longer hiatus than normal. Wasn't there a break or something?
I don't think so.
Oh.
No. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there was something in the airing schedule.
Yeah, well, definitely airing schedule. It wasn't based
know.
on, but in reading some of the background, I thought I remembered this period of time because I foolishly hosted a game show called the $1 Million Money Drop that took your time slot for a number of weeks.
Was it this one, or was that the Terminator show?
No, it was this one.
Oh.
Because I remember when we got the "No, you're not coming back," it was Raising Hope is taking the time slot. It was after Glee, the time slot after Glee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. This is all news to me.
So, yeah,
We shot 22 in a row.
Right.
With normal shooting hiatuses, but
right, for the first season.
mhm.
And did you follow Glee the first season?
Yeah, we followed Glee. We were hard on Glee's heels.
Right.
Now we don't. New Girl follows Glee, and we follow New Girl. Zoe's show.
Still a fantastic time slot, if not compounding.
We're moving though. March 6th will be starting at 8 o'clock.
You buried the lead. We should tell people this.
Oh,
March 6th at 8 o'clock.
yeah, that's when we start up with a very special guest star that I cannot reveal.
All right, suffice to say, he or she is indeed very special.
Very special
To you personally or to the show?
to the world.
I
to the
like
world
it.
at large.
How did you get the Pope?
Right?
Just saying. Stayed in the Pope mobile. Could have had to talk through the plexiglass.
It's true. You guessed it. I gave it away somehow. But yeah, no, I don't know about that, but I know there is a long hiatus just because it shoots. We're done in 5 days with an episode, so
Right.
we get like 5 months off.
I think it. Oh, well, that's nice. I think it might have also been because I know when I did this awful thing, or as it turned out, awful for the network. It was fine for me. That we were following Glee reruns, so it could have been just in the case that they were on reruns, and there was no reason.
We did sort of as Glee went, so did we. you
Right.
know, so if they had a repeat, we'd have a repeat or be off.
Right.
Maybe that was it, but
Okay, so then there was no sense.
I believe you.
Of that only because I was in it, and it was, you know what I mean, that it was so acutely on my thing, but on my radar, and by thing, that's what I mean. So when you get
On
a
my
pickup to from pilot to series initially, how your very first time slot on the pickup for the first season is to follow Glee. Was Glee already a hit at that point?
Yes, because I think that was Glee's second season, right?
Right.
Or was it second or third?
So does Greg say to you guys, or do you automatically know, we didn't just get picked up, we got maybe one of the best time slots on the network, other than maybe
I don't
following
remember
Reddit
if I
or-
heard it or read it or
Right.
agents told, but I was pretty happy about it.
In terms of a show's chances, do you get caught up in the stuff, or you just say, "Hey, you know what, let's just kick some ass on the set, and whatever happens, happens"?
Well, that's ultimately what it comes to, but it's impossible not to hear about it or think about it or worry about it, and the more, because we're proud of the show and
Right.
we'd like it to do well, to continue to do well or do better. And then you start thinking like, well, maybe it's not a good slot, maybe it's a different audience, maybe we're more this, or
They're too young.
oh, we don't like the marketing for it, it's not just about a cute baby, or you start throwing, like I have any expertise in marketing or scheduling or any,
Right.
I don't know. So then after a while, I'm just going to try and do what I do really well and give it its best chances. I don't know what to do, but try to make a good product. you
Right.
know, so
The kid that
worry
plays
about
you and
that.
Martha's son is exceptional, and you, I think, said this was his first.
I think virtually, I think he did a guest spot on something that shot in Chicago. He's a Chicago kid.
Right.
Did a lot of theater there. His name's Lucas Neff. And he went on tape there through his small agency there. And I guess they did a nationwide search. He was
Sure.
cast before I was. And and they liked him for it. And
Did you know Martha prior?
I'd met her a lot. We have a lot of friends in common. She'd
New York?
come to the set of Deadwood a few times.
Oh, right. Visit
Yeah,
her
she's
dad.
born and raised in New York. And I knew of her and liked her, but I'd never worked with her, which was strange to me because we
Right.
knew so many of the same people.
Right. You guys, the chemistry is ridiculous, and so I was curious if
Yeah,
that was
I'm so happy we got along so well and right away.
playing husband and wife. You know, it's kind of essential that we buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Did it feel that way immediately?
It
Something
kind
you
of did, and I guess I'll give that to her because I'm a little bashful, but she's just baggageless. She's one of those. It's just, all business. You never worry about anything else. There's never any off-screen stuff that comes on. We do our thing. We laugh a lot, and we go home.
Does she still refer to L.A. as Asstown?
I haven't heard that one.
All right, very well.
Asstown?
For the longest time,
A town full of ass?
that's what she called
or
L.A.
asses.
Just Asstown.
I threatened you, so starting March 6th, 8 o'clock, that is a Tuesday night?
It's the same night, Tuesday nights
They just
at
moved
8.
you to 8 o'clock.
It's a Glee slot. I'm not quite sure what Glee's going through, but they're not there, so we're going.
You know what? Fuck them.
Really, I
Where
could
do
be
they-
on that show.
What do they get off?
I could pass for high school.
I mentioned to you, I think, before we started that we'd like to take a few questions from the audience. I realize
yeah.
we have
Are you sick of me yet?
utterly ignored them, but I want to give them an opportunity.
I'm sure it's going crazy. They're burning up there.
At Sugarbender, what was the worst part of the Salton Sea shoot with Tyler Shields and Ali Corbin? Corbin.
Coburn. Oh, that's a very obscure
Salton Sea,
reference.
is that the...
I like to do these shoots with my friend Tyler Shields. Sometimes he's a photographer, and he always throws things on you or makes you jump off bridges. Or I don't know why, but I find that it makes everything else I do really seem easy.
Nice.
He stayed up for 40 days straight just to break the previous record of 13 days or something like that. He just did not sleep for 40 days.
Holy shit.
So it's, he's one of those guys you're like, well, I can't really complain about being tired.
No.
I can't really complain about anything. But he took me and this girl out to the Salton Sea where I'd never been, and it was about 1,000,000 degrees. And that was probably the worst thing. This is a lame answer. Sorry, Sugar Bender. It was the heat. It was horrible.
What was the worst part? The worst part was the heat.
Yeah, it was awful. And the smell of the dead, there's thousands of dead fish on the shores of the
How
Salton
could that
Sea.
be bad? It sounds fantastic.
I love sushi.
It was like the moon. It was
Yes.
like the moon.
Doesn't get any fresher than that.
The moon with dead fish on it. That made no sense. But it was like the moon.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It was really
I have
sort of stunning.
an irrational fear of fish.
It's
So
im-
that sounds like a
It's
nightmare.
important that she own that it's irrational.
Me and Allie haven't spoken since. I don't know if that gives you any kind
think
of
that says it all.
indication.
At author Becky Ayers, which type of character do you enjoy portraying most? Bad guy, good guy, sexy guy, or silly guy? It'd be hilarious if you
Sexy
committed
guy.
and said sexy guy.
I know, can you
It
imagine?
would be the best answer
I've
possible.
played so many of those.
Well, sexy guy, of course. I've heard you say, and many actors as well, that it's really about wanting to do good work. But
It is, and a good story.
Do you
know?
find good story you don't often hear?
Because every story has all of those people in it, pretty much,
Right.
in
So-
some form or other. So it doesn't really matter to me as long as it's a really good story. Then I'll do my part telling it. I really like the most is change. I really try as much as I can. You might as well, just to do something different than I did last time. Just keeps me sort of awake and interested. And
Right.
so
Cool.
I'll say that. Sorry, Becky.
At Sugarbender comes back for a second helping.
So we haven't really gotten a lot of questions.
Some
we just
fucking
got
nerve.
A few questions from one person.
If you could have played any other character on Deadwood,
There must be-
that's why you asked, because
There
it's
must
actually
be dozens of people.
it's actually a
sending
damn good
questions.
question. Hey, how dare you? If you could play another character on Deadwood, like you'd be the greediest actor in the history of the game, who would have been? Was there? Well, I think we answered that because you mentioned that you were originally after the Bullock character in terms of auditioning and interest. Was there anybody?
So I guess she means if I could take someone else's part.
Clearly.
Well, who do you think phoned it in a little? Whose job do
Trixie
you think
the
I could do
whore.
that better?
Well, not for nothing, but we had Ed O'Neill here a couple of weeks ago, and in fact, Milch had called him and said that he had written Swearingen for
Right.
Ed O'Neill. So
Great guy.
It's one of oh boy, was he terrific.
Who can kick your ass too? He's one of the scary.
15 years with the Brazilian
Right.
Jiu-Jitsu.
I don't know that I want to answer that question.
Well,
it's true. I was supposed to audition for Bullock, but the way it all turned out, so good.
So
and
perfect.
I don't know that I
Then
would
don't
want
answer
to.
it. Let's talk about
take it,
Terminator:
yeah.
The Sarah Connor Chronicles, which was a good show that I watched every episode of.
It
Thoroughly
was
enjoyed.
a good show.
It
Yeah,
was.
that
It
seemed-
was a good show.
That seemed like an what do they call it? Not ass backwards, but backhanded.
No. I'm saying
okay.
it was a good show.
If you watched every episode, Sam,
Yeah.
could we call it a wonderful show? Would that hurt you?
No, it was a great show.
Now,
It had a
now
loyal
you've
and rabid
pleased-
fan base.
It
that's for
certainly
sure.
did. And I was puzzled because, and here, maybe you can shed some light on this as an actor who played a cyborg. Now, Summer Glau's character,
Right.
who was the female Terminator, in the
Every
pilot
High
episode,
school kid's wet dream of a protector.
right? In the pilot episode, we first meet her character. She's posing as a human who is a fellow student of John Connor's.
Yes.
And she's totally normal and fine and sweet and flirty. And then a few minutes later, we discover, holy shit, she's a Terminator. She's here to protect him. And then she goes into robot mode.
Okay.
But then she spent the rest of the series in robot mode. In certain situations, they would need her to be cool and human. And she was like, no, I'm a robot.
Incapable
Incapable of being human.
She would say that on the show? I forget.
Yeah. You,
Uh,
robot, start to finish.
okay.
But I was just curious,
like
were
a
these notes
directorial
they gave
question,
you,
or-
or...
What was the question?
My question is, what kind of research, what kind of notes, what kind of stuff were you doing? Because like Brent
I just
Spiner
thought,
on Star Trek, like how is it hard to play something where there's nothing to study?
Well, what I read about you, and you'll shed some additional light. It is a fantastic question, and I had it in the notes.
Fantastic question.
Well, in the sense that as an actor,
Congratulations.
as an actor, I thought had a realization about this that I felt was kind of an original take.
The
which is
emotional thing, you mean? Or?
emotional detach. He's acting on orders only. This is the ultimate Nuremberg defense because it's actually
Right.
true. All he had was orders. There's no emotional involvement at all. So how can you ever play the emotion of the character?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, he doesn't have them. I mean, he's programmed, I suppose, with fake emotions that hopefully will pass.
But this makes it more daunting and scary of a enemy, of a evil
Yeah,
character. If he
'cause
has no emotions.
He's just not going to stop.
Now he's a shark with black eyes and
Yeah, it's just what sharks do, isn't it?
right.
And we've learned to love the sharks. But yeah, I guess that was
least for
that
one
was,
week.
My
that was the
question is-
most
yeah.
difficult part. Was just
Yeah.
I thought it'd be cool to play someone that didn't talk much. That had to be expressive physically. That would be new to me, new territory. And that to not let emotion bleed into, because you've seen a lot of them, I think, who are frowning and
Right.
they seem angry, and you're like, why are you angry?
Right.
You don't
You
care.
don't know that emotions
You don't know
are
this
not-
kid.
so, yeah.
He's just
Yeah, or even you wouldn't show the anger or the expression of frustration while someone is putting up roadblocks between you and your goal, because
yeah.
that wouldn't.
I don't
bother
feel
you.
frustration.
Right.
I just fell down. I get back up. I keep running. That's. I always loved that. I think it was in the second one with Robert Patrick, or maybe it
He
was
did that really. well.
Yeah, because he would get knocked over and he'd take this horrible fall, then just get up and start sprinting again, and he didn't seem put out about it.
Right, exactly.
But it was just like the most awful feeling for whoever was being chased. It was just like, he's not put out about this.
Yeah, I can't even.
I didn't even
fuck with
annoy
him.
him.
Right.
So that's what I guess I was trying to do.
I can't even make him unhappy before he kills me.
Summer would probably had more of a difficult minefield to, navigate, because she also has to be sort of the sexy chick,
Right.
Well,
Well, they managed to work some ballet in there for her.
That's true. Yes.
The last thing we offer up on the show as a
That
fun
was
opportunity.
it for the viewer questions.
Yeah. Oh, no, she doesn't put them all up. No, she reads. She
Yeah, it's
actually
okay.
reads hundreds and goes, oh God. Even if it's dozens, she's going through them. Another opportunity that the fans have to interact with the guests is to put together a little something we call a Tweet 5.
T5, T5,
Dave Keckner.
T5 forever now.
You get a chance to work with that lunatic, race to the opportunity. T5 is a 5-question scenario, sort of
Okay.
Coke or Pepsi, no correct answer,
Oh, all right.
totally your opinion. This or that,
All right.
5 questions.
Ready. I'm ready.
Designed
Go.
specifically by
Oh.
the fan, the viewer.
Oh, okay. New wrinkle.
Did I hear what I thought I heard? Ready? This is from @Professor D. Simon or Wolcott?
Wolcott.
High explosives or knives?
Knives.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Sushi or pho?
Pho. Fa, I think is how you're
Pho,
supposed to say
sorry,
it, right?
yes.
Fa. Sorry. Fa. Fa is, I believe, the correct pronunciation, Mr. Fa. What an asshole.
What is your answer, fucko?
Fa. I love you.
Spain or France?
Never been to either one, but I'll say Spain.
Because it's...
Because I have some friends there.
That's the correct answer.
Okay.
Exactly.
And good olive oil there.
Yeah, tremendous. And they don't eat dinner really till about 10 o'clock. I like that.
What's not to like about Spain?
Yeah, and an entire population of the country decided to talk with a list because the emperor did,
Right.
or the king.
España, Barcelona.
Barcelona, yeah. Honestly and truly,
Yeah,
not just
that's it.
because I was sick for 3 days on my back, but once I started to do the research and the study, the fanship just kind of grew and grew. And fortunately for all of us, your life is ridiculously more fascinating than you think it is.
I'm sure. I hope so.
But can you believe we spoke for 110 minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Why would no, not an apology. That's not the right emotion at all.
Well,
Give
no,
me-
I loved it. Thanks for having me. I'm really flattered that you.
You were
wanted to
only
talk to
here
me.
as a gateway to Sam. Now that I hear you guys
true.
are friends.
Yep.
Um,
We're gonna go drinking after
we
this.
met
You are
briefly
not
at the
welcome.
Josh Charles thing, and he professed to be a fan. Do you know the Josh Charles at all?
I've exchanged Twitters. With him.
Nice.
He's friends with Martha.
Yeah.
I've invited him on the show, but it's not up to me. But he didn't invite me on Good Wife.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was kind.
Well, he's a prick that way.
I don't know why I do that to people. Yeah, you should be on the show. Like
Yeah.
I'm so powerful.
There are powerful people who do that, and
Can't get on the show.
it can be hurtful
Yes.
because they don't mean it maliciously, but it's their way of saying I like you.
Right.
I remember I got all excited like a little fucking off the turnip truck. We went to the world premiere of one of the Pirates movies, the first or second one, at Disneyland. It was the first time they had, right? And James Cameron was there, and he was building up to do Avatar. And he said, I'm going to do this movie. No one knows much about it. There's a great fucking part for you in it. I'm a fan. I'd love you to be in the film. I literally find a bush and start masturbating. I'm so happy. I'm telling the few people that means something to me, and I'm just telling them, yeah,
I'm gonna be in there.
James Cameron insisted. I'm just saying it happened.
Yeah, that worked out for you.
Call my agent. My agent says, he kind of does that. That was the response. He kind of does that.
Oh no.
What a horrible. Now, again, I really do believe he did not mean it maliciously.
He
And
probably even meant he had a part for you, but then he just either forgets or meets someone,
according to my agent, that's his way of saying to an actor, I like your work.
Did he think you were Sigourney Weaver?
And thought I was Sigourney.
That was probably
Didn't help
what it was.
that he wanted David Paymer.
Yeah.
That was Jim's joke that I just stole from him. But thank you endlessly and hopelessly for all your work, and please continue.
Great. Thanks for having me.
And all the absolute best with your new 8 o'clock starting March 6th.
Thank you.
With the rest of the season, and the incredibly important special guest that you'll have on the show.
That's right.
A guest star on March 6th. I threatened you before we were still in the makeup phase with having to do the Larry King game. Would you like me to reiterate the rules for you?
yeah.
No, it's fine. Let me
You
reiterate
didn't give
the
us
rules.
a lot of time to plan anything, but yeah.
That's the best
I got
part.
it. Okay, I'm ready.
You ready to go? There's your camera when you're ready, anytime.
I see it. This is all I was planning to do.
Yeah.
This looks right.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, I'm stealing from myself. I nair my taint for 2 minutes longer than the recommended time. Castro Valley, go!
2 minutes longer.
It burns.
There you go.
I've got to remember to cue the intro. Thank you for that.
Thank you
Honestly and
so
truly.
much.
Yeah.
It's a real pleasure.
And for all of it. And now you have to sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up.
Oh, nice.
All right, sorry. Okay, next week, as I mentioned ever so briefly, John Sally, the wonderful possibly four-time with the ring for the NBA championship. And also wonderfully entertaining and funny. The John Sally will be next Sunday. Then we'll take the Sunday off for the Academy Awards.
We're going to play a little 2-on-1 with John out in the parking lot.
We do have a hoop in
Yeah.
the back. We're going to take a camera out there.
Awesome.
And we're going to see how John does against two short Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
If that's not visibly funny, visually
I don't
funny,
know.
I don't know
Yeah.
how you would craft funny beyond that.
All right.
You know what? Let's read that one Ask Kevin again.
No, please don't. No, for God's sakes.
I'm sorry, that took 37 minutes.
That was unbelievable.
And also check the calendars. Some upcoming great shows like David Wayne on the 4th.
Drew Carey.
Drew Carey on
Ed
March
Begley,
11th. Ed
the
Begley
Junior.
Jr.
Not senior. I
No.
don't think we can get him.
It's going to be very, very hard.
Yeah.
And some great additional. So please continue to check the schedule. I want to thank everyone here in the studio, Dr. Chen, Sam and Jamie. On the outer walls, we have the J-Mac, the Josh Negrin, the Justin Weiss. His father really worked hard to make sure it wasn't the Jewish spelling of Weiss, so I always forget if it is in fact. Is it Rice? Yeah, it's Weiss. Elaine Ewing, sitting right now in front of her computer, I'm guessing, smoking in bed.
No, she went to Ralph's.
She went to Ralph's. Oh, excellent.
We had some sound issues for the live audience today. People who download this after the fact won't know anything about it.
Okay.
But our live viewers, it was a little hinky today.
We had some hinky?
But most of them stuck with us, so we were grateful to them.
Was it in and out hinky?
Yeah.
In and out hinky.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we have something for Justin to work on for next week.
It was Garret.
He was scared.
He brings
Radiation.
he brings the kibosh with him.
All right. I will see you next Sunday. Check out the show on Hulu.com. Visit us on the site. Write to us at contact@kevinpollakschatro.com if you would, please. We love hearing from you. We really, truly do. As you saw evidence of at the top of the show when I read a 17-minute letter. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.